Hello and good evening.
Let's see. Welcome
Hello,
back
everyone.
to another episode. Edin's got a lot of energy for this episode.
Yes.
We need high energy for this. We're not gonna bog down with this one. I'm gonna get passionate today.
I'm probably bad that I'm 2 glasses of wine deep then. I kind of want to get more wine, but I also kind of don't want to drink more wine. Except I've only got 1 beer left in the fridge.
See, rapper screaming nerves like we're deaf. You know, you said the phrase.
I did say the phrase.
You said the phrase.
Except I don't remember the verse after that. MF Doom may forgive me. May he rest in peace.
It's when you hear "It was all a dream" and he said we used to read Wyrm magazine.
Yes. Salt and pepper heavy D up in the limousine.
And credit where it's due. Burger Creek released a video talking about the Nefandi and the Marauders that I thought was really good. And I'm gonna have to really think about what I want to say for the Nefandi video because I try to with these videos. I don't want to copy verbatim what another video says.
See, isn't that great that like finally we get competition on something? That's good.
Well, he's been ahead of the game for a while now, and he's got better production value. I don't want to sit down in front of an editing software and chop up what I'm saying, jump cut everything, put all these different graphics in place. I have 2 scripts for videos that I want to make that aren't related to Werewolf. The only reason why I haven't made them yet is because I really don't like editing, and that's why. But, you know, I want to get my voice out there. I want to talk about stuff because this is a variety channel. We don't talk about just one thing. That's what I don't want to have happen here. I don't want to run out of ideas like Lord by Night.
Yeah, we're going to start talking about Fallout after, which I think would be cool.
Ooh, I want to be there.
And also, according to Onyx Path News and Parallax Interactive, they're saying that White Wolf is back as a company while bringing back 0 of the original staff. So it's actually White Wolf then.
Lol. Lamau even. Johnny, do you think we could get hired at White Wolf?
No. We gotta out-know, not be cisgendered men, first of all.
No, dude, I think we got this. I think we could pull it off.
Kyle's also Jewish, so he won't be allowed in either.
No, I could be you know, snake eating its own tail and say Jews for Palestine. Don't worry about it.
You let me in. I checked the disability box.
I saw this one picture. It was a job application, and it was under like the you know, the non-mandatory like diversity stuff, and it was like black, 3rd option on gender, Hispanic and Latino, has a disability. I'm getting this job no matter what, bruh.
So here's the article. Kyle, just make sure we're not on the splash screen. So there's the page talking about the return of White Wolf, and now the original staff is back. And I looked at the names of these guys, and none of these guys have any talent. You have no talent. You suck, and ultimately, who gives a shit? You're the same idiots that made City Skylines.
Let's see. Full of Darkness, White Wolf. No, Professions of the Licensing.
Yeah.
Co-publishers. Oh wait, no, that's Paradox Interactive. Let me see.
Yeah, it's still Paradox's name to it. It's still Paradox's people. They're just going under by a different name. It's like it's the same level of like self-awareness as say a private military company doing a massacre and then they change their name to distance themselves from articles.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like how Blackwater changed their name to Canopy with an I?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Did they actually?
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, this is fun stuff, right?
There's a World of Darkness TikTok. Oh Jesus.
And it's got Outstar, who has sold out her own channel and is now basically a puppet on the string for Paradox Interactive. And I take that because I used to really like her content.
I'm almost you know, scared to click on this Discord link and the Paradox Interactive link.
This is why that I'm not bringing money into this channel. The reason why I'm not saying we need to go for a partnership, the reason I'm not opening a Patreon, the reason why I'm not putting a Cash App in the description.
It's so we maintain 100% control of the content that we post.
That we're not going to owe anything to anyone, that we're not going to be a slave to a corporation, to a certain audience that wants to control what we say. This is our show. We put on whatever we want.
We're just a slave to our own minds.
Hell yeah.
On top of that, I'm not going to let any of you accuse me of consumer fraud or being a scam artist. I'm not calling myself for that either.
We don't have
I will
that.
say that Hearts of Iron 4, except World of Darkness, would be pretty cool.
That would be a cool mod. I'm not gonna see. Paradox is missing the fucking bar here. Like, you have the World of Darkness, and you have, the autism squishy brain map, generator thing of Hearts of Iron. You could make a killing playing a strategy World of Darkness game. I think that'd be sick.
Well, that requires these people to have talent first.
Not really. You just need to do Hearts of Iron 4, but Werewolf the Apocalypse. It's not that hard.
You get a fan to do the mod. You then cease and desist him, steal everything he had, reskin it, and then release it and say it's yours.
And make it 20 times worse.
They already allowed a World of Darkness Dark Ages CK3 mod.
Mm-hmm.
That's already partnered with them, so they won't do the GW scummy path.
I mean, at least he knows.
I do think GW is just a little bit over-villainized, but because we got bigger fish to fry out there with like groups like Hasbro, but
yes, and that's not going to change. Anyhow,
so Kyle got the good pages, I got the bad pages with this book.
Yes,
and I
the
got
good
mechanics.
Yeah, and Edin's already read this book front to back, which is why he insists on being here, because it's got something that he has a special interest in this book.
Well, it was like 5 years ago I read it front to back. I just did a quick skim again.
And then 2 pages never left your memory. That you...
No, a bunch.
In fact, we're going to talk about those 2 pages right now. We're just going to go ahead and open it with it. Ryan, let's go into Ryan's mechanics.
Wyrm taint.
All right, Wyrm taint. So, do you want to know about Wyrm taint in Chronicles? If you think that's a really important thing to have, but then you're astonished to see that none of the storytellers' guides or the players' guides actually have a guide to that. Well, here we finally have this, and it's in the back of this book.
Look to this book.
Yeah, it's this book that has it. Kyle, that's the page put up on screen.
Hang on.
Yep.
Yeah, see, didn't we see this in the Ronin book of all things?
Yes, like, wouldn't this have been like a really important thing to have in the Storyteller's Guide?
Yep.
Yes! Yes, it fucking is!
Kyle, how many times have you asked me to roll this within the road already?
So far, at least twice. I think maybe 3 times.
Yes, and and then that severity of sins, it starts off like 10 being the least evil, and then 1 being the most evil. Right? You flip the difficulties of your rolls with that.
Johnny, this is the ego chart for the Abominations.
The hierarchy of Wyrm taint. Yes, this is on this. Yes.
Yeah, this is for Abominations. It's their version of humanity.
Yes, but this will be also something that I have in the Storyteller's Guide. This is something you want to put in there, because isn't one of your players or storyteller going to say, well, what if a Geru gets embraced and then you just don't have anything for that? So, yeah.
What else are you supposed to do?
So this is what it's going to be. Kyle, may I reveal what you told me in DMs about Insta Road 2 sessions ago?
Yes.
So with our live play, Kyle had the idea of saying, if you want to cash out on your character already, we can have her be embraced by this Ravnos character. And then that's Abomination, and then when that happens to you in story, your character's pull out of the game. That's essentially a game over with your character, make a new sheet. But that character story can still go on, but they're now an antagonist character because the rest of the Geru Nation will not accept them. And
I would have still let you play her, but it would have been incredibly difficult.
And given that we're in Charlotte now in your game, and that's a shallower territory,
yes,
that death would have been if the wrong NPC sees me.
Damn near guaranteed.
Yes. So
another thing people don't realize about Abominations, if you're playing a werewolf game, is that you're effectively locking that trope into either having split sessions, or one session where one person does for half the session what the other one person is playing while or just waiting, or you're restricting the entire troop to only playing during night.
Which is a really bad idea, and which is why you don't really want to mix spots like this. This is why the Changeling to Dreaming and Vampire the Masquerade game that I will never run will never happen. Because you're mixing different power systems like this. Now, the only game I can think about that you could mix spots like this with, because the systems do synergize with themselves a little bit, it would either be Vampire the Masquerade and Wraith the Oblivion, which you can do, or Werewolf the Apocalypse and Changing to Dreaming, given that you're ultimately fighting the same enemy in those 2 games.
Yes.
And that's it. But then again, you're going to have to keep track of, say, the vampires, where if you rolled a Frenzy, does that mean that the Wraith also gets Pathos? Or is how can this Wraith ability tie in with a vampire, or how can you do Wraith versus vampire combat because most vampires can't damage a Wraith. And then you go into stuff like changing to Dreaming and Werewolf, where, okay, if I gain a point of rage, does that also mean that that changeling gets a point of glamour? Or if I talk to a Weaver spirit, does that mean that that changeling immediately gets a point of banality? You see where water begins to muddy with this. And Vampire and Werewolf, these games could not be more night and day. What is Vampire the Masquerade? A Mafia simulator. What is Werewolf the Apocalypse? A war simulator. You see how these two don't really mix.
Yeah, they're a little bit disparate themes.
You have Mafia wars, but that's only when everything has gone tits up in a Mafia, and you've gone past the point of no return. That's when that happens. So, another thing that I've noticed that the Abominations don't really go over, because look at this page, there's no real consolidation with the Beast mechanic in Vampire and the Wyrm taint in Werewolf the Apocalypse. Because while it is easy enough to get a vampire possessed by a Wyrm spirit or any other spirit, there's something that slows down the process, and that's the Beast. There is a force of evil within every vampire that will repel a spirit if it comes inside of them. And that's not to say that you can eventually get overridden, where if a vampire becomes a white, will that also make them susceptible to possession? Yes, where if you have the vampire Fomori in Freak Legion, those tend to be whites, first and foremost. Or vampires that had really low humanity. Or vampires that just had really shitty willpower stats. So is it possible to do the mix with that? Yes, you can have a Fomori vampire around. But it's not as easy as the spirit just touches them and possesses them. I think I've said something like that in the past. This is a retraction. So with the Wyrm taint, where you've got that spiritual aspect with the werewolf, where yes, it can be easy schmeezy to Wyrm possess a werewolf if they interact with the Wyrm too much and not cleanse themselves. Because you notice after every werewolf mission where your players will ask you, we should do the Rite of Cleansing. Even if nobody actually got Wyrm taint, you do it anyway because the paranoia is there. Well, do you really need to do the Rite of Cleansing after every raid if you have a beast in you that's also repelling this? And I noticed that the beast doesn't really come up with the Abominations. So, we're missing something here, aren't we?
I feel like we are, because, to an extent, like we said earlier, the rage is an aspect of the Wyrm implanted in the Garrow, the very formation of them. And to introduce, a whole other beast to have to control, it's damn near impossible to try to balance the two, because they're both agents of chaos in their own right. One is a disturbing lack of humanity. The other is a burning rage that rests inside the hearts of all Garrow. So you're constantly grappling between two separate kinds of rage, which makes it incredibly hard to play.
So you look at the Wyrm taint that was in the back of the running book. You look at this Wyrm taint for Abomination specifically that's in this book, and you have to ask yourself, well, when is this ever going to come up? Unless
All
my
the time,
story,
friends.
unless my story specifically involves these mechanics, when am I going to use these tables? So I guess I also made an argument as to why this is in a Storyteller's book, because you're not really supposed to do this with these games. But so here are the pages about the Abomination that appears in this book. One, Harold Goodston. Ryan, you read over the stat sheet, didn't you? So
Yes.
going
Sorry.
into this, what exactly is the backstory of this character? Like, why is he important?
I'm eating a lollipop. Come here, come.
A lollipop, a root beer sucker?
Tootsie
What you
Pop.
got?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Tootsie Pop. How many lists does it take to get to the center?
178.
All right. So,
I don't think I got a backstory.
take a look at this guy. All right.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. Edin, you remember this guy's backstory, don't you?
Yeah, he was a Silver Fang.
Yeah.
His pack was captured / killed, and all of them were attempted to be embraced. Dude, I haven't read this section in at least a year.
And this
So
happened all the
basically-
way. This happened all the way back in the 1800s, like the late 1800s, and he's still alive today in the story.
So basically, a Ventrue rival of the prince that still had a bunch of power basically embraced him and actually succeeded. And he was one of the few sane abominations. So he was actually active in the Ventrue politics. His sire made a failed attempt to become prince and died, and that's when he became free and no longer was involved in vampires politics.
Now,
But
what was the name of that prince again? It was Maxwell something?
Prince Maxwell.
Exactly.
I don't think it gave us full name.
And we never really get anything in depth with Prince Maxwell.
No.
You remember Loden in our Chicago by Night episode?
Roughly, yes. He comes up a lot in this book.
That guy who had a house of cards that was slowly falling apart in Chicago and asked you, the vampire players, to come to his aid to keep his house of lies in check? Where,
Yeah.
in case we forgot what he looks like, I think this picture of him is fantastic. That's him. Put him up on screen. And you immediately know what that character's about when you see him.
He looks like a JoJo
Animalism.
villain.
So, that guy, Prince Maxwell tried to overthrow that guy because when we went over Chicago by Night, well, who wasn't trying to backstab Loden by this point? I mean,
Sure.
Loden had a
You-
tendency to make a lot of enemies very quickly.
I don't know, maybe banning all Ventrue who didn't share blood with you might have caused that. Maybe, just maybe, right? Or maybe
guy
did not.
Kind of looks like an elf.
With the ears, right? and maybe part of that too was instead of promoting other members of the Camarilla into positions of power, you just directly embraced mortals off the street and put them in those positions.
Obviously.
Where of course when that happens at your job, you're thrilled about that, right? Where you get passed up for a promotion for a guy where literally who the fuck are you gets the job instead. Everybody loves that, right?
Yeah, basically.
And now this guy, Harold, has been going around as this vampire werewolf vigilante, basically, is what's up with him. Where he can't go back to the Sword of Fangs because the Sword of Fangs will kill him. He can't really go into vampire politics because he knows what's been going on with him this entire time now. And now he's just stuck where he is. And you see why this doesn't really make for a good player character.
No.
Because here, Silver's Fang leadership said we got a raid on this wormhole. It takes place during the day. Oh, I guess our Abomination pack member just can't be a part of it.
And that's why you as a storyteller have to homebrew some ideas, like say, no vampire powers, but you can walk in daylight, but have no Galliard regeneration while you do so.
And same thing with mechanics. If you run out of Gnosis as an Abomination, you lose your mind and immediately go white. Is what happens to you. So it's not a case of humanity, it's your Gnosis score. And Kyle Ryan, you know how quickly you burn through that.
Very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
The book has a special fetish that actually can help out with that.
Where it
Not
gives
what
you a little
page it's on, but
Yeah, it
it's
gives you-
basically
it-
8
it
points
thro-
a day.
Yeah, it throws a mechanic in there that basically is a crutch for the character Harold to exist in the World of Darkness mechanically. Because something I noticed with this module, the adventure module, if the dice go wrong in an encounter, the story kind of falls apart. That's what happens. Alright, and it says the worst of both worlds where Kyle, this is a werewolf that can't werewolf, it's a vampire that can't vampire. You see why this kind of sucks with these guys.
A little bit.
And something, this is like the tangent portion of the episode. Something I thought, it's not extra credits. Who the fuck does trope talk on YouTube? But it's like the woman in red where she's talking about tropes.
I do not know.
I know what you're talking about, but
Overly sarcastic productions.
yes.
Where it was this video that this was a YouTuber released a video that convinces you to unsubscribe and then you just never go back to their content after that.
Yeah, I did that with Philosophy Tube.
Yeah, their video was when they were talking about Pinocchio, where they're going more into detail about Geppetto not accepting his wooden son than anything else, and it was so obviously queer coded and political. But dog, it's so obvious you didn't get what Pinocchio was as a story, and neither did Guillermo del Toro, and neither did Robert Zemeckis, and you had no business making those movies because the point of Pinocchio is that nobody wants to be Pinocchio. You don't want to be a wooden boy because you can't relate to the majority of people with flesh, and the people with flesh can't relate to you. So you're just off by yourself, as someone off on a hill in a bubble that can't relate to anybody and will never have anyone that understands them, which is why the point of Pinocchio is trying to become a real boy. And I don't see how anyone could fucking miss that. And if you want to stay wooden, well, we've moved from our story being Pinocchio to being Peter Pan. We're now trying to drag other boys down you and turn them into wooden boys, because instead of rising to a society that has expectations for you and rising to a role that you're supposed to be, you're instead dragging people down with you to make yourself feel better while fundamentally derailing or ruining the lives of the people that you drag down with you. And I don't get how the fuck anyone can mistake this idea unless you're the exact same kind of person who's going to create their lost boys of their own. This is what I don't fucking get. Yeah. So you're so down bad and you're so sick that you don't realize just how fucking sick you are. And that's the thing with the Abomination, because the Abominations don't go around looking for other people, other werewolves and other changing breeds to turn into Abominations. Sobek died a death of euthanasia, and other Abominations get put down when they're discovered because no werewolf wants to live like this. Garo Nation, they don't encourage becoming Abominations. Sure, you get the serious power game build, where enjoy having your cross-formed werewolf with potence and fortitude. Sounds like a fun time mechanically, but in terms of your character will fucking fall apart in seconds.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
What's going to happen to you. That's what fucking happens. Where it's a good idea if you want to do like a war game, if you want to do a power game, but there was no way you're going to be able to sustain this idea for a long period of time. It's going to be for like a one-off chronicle for a group of werewolves that have nothing to do with the Garo Nation, and is not meant to interact with the werewolf lore as a whole. And it's more like a storyteller says, I have an idea that I don't want people to take too seriously, or it's somebody who's not very well read in the lore that's just doing this idea for the sake of doing the idea.
Well, I can think of a couple of ideas. I just don't want to share them on the show, because I'll just ruin them. Because as a player, you're not supposed to know about it until the very end.
It's when you made Faster Than Sound, where that character was more like an exception than something that would be accepted by the Glass Workers. Where somebody who's that heavily cybernetic and that heavily tainted by the Weaver would have no place in the Garo Nation if he went back to it. So going into the book itself, it goes in this whole tangent about the Garo Nation with Abominations. Kyle, would you like to revisionist history portion now?
Who's revising it?
The werewolves and the person that wrote this book.
Then yes.
If I may go over who wrote this book, it is one Stephen C. Brown who wrote this book, who did a lot of stuff involving the Sabbat with Vampire the Masquerade, who also wrote Freak Legion, by the way.
So this guy knows what the fuck is up.
Well, about that. When did Freak Legion come out, Kyle?
That I don't know. I'd have read it, and it is good.
1999.
And when did this come out?
1993.
So this is his freshman outing then, to an extent.
Where the only book that he wrote before this was Sabbat First Edition.
So his sophomore outing.
And he wrote parts of Karen's Places of Power, but this is very clear I just started writing for World of Darkness content. Where Freak Legion, it had some moments in it that felt a little bit too edgy and felt a little bit silly, but it took itself seriously. And it never felt like it reached a point where it jumped the shark. Meanwhile, there is a portion in this book that goes into full-on cringe territory, and I almost don't want to read it out loud. This is also the same fucking genius who wrote Clan Book Toreador 2nd Edition, and you know that I think that book fucking sucks, dude.
Well, you think the Toreadors suck?
No, Toreador 1st Edition was incredible. That was a... I couldn't think of a better guidance how to run the Toreador. But then he comes out with this unreliable narrator shtick with the Toreador 2nd Edition to the point where I have no fucking idea what that book wants me to take as canon anymore. Because of how unreliable the information is.
That is the one major issue with a lot of World of Darkness books. I know the unreliable narrator trope really adds to the mystery of the setting and allows the viewer to sort of make their own judgment call when they do pick a clan or pick a tribe or pick a convention or pick a cabal or tradition or whatever, is that there really isn't a good continuity for the story unless there was like an ultimate guide from the developer point of view. At which point it was like the world of darkness from the view of God. At which point that'd kind of kill all the mystery of the book, then wouldn't it?
That's Demon of Fallen, and that's the reason why a lot of people have their ass chapped by Demon of Fallen, because Demon of Fallen came out and just crushed the headcanons and mystery and said, this is the world this is meant to be. Quit thinking that Jesus is a vampire or a mage. He was indeed a son of God, and yes, God does exist in a world of darkness.
I don't know. In all honesty, I kind of like the brutal honesty of that. I know I keep saying in all honesty, it's my tick, whatever.
What?
But I do love how just cut and dry it is. It's like, yes, this is fact in this world, here and now, done. And then but then bending everybody, doesn't that make bending everybody else's reality and everybody else's canon around that just that much more fun to make it work?
Absolutely.
When this works, Ryan, for example, Ryan, with the Glassworkers first and second edition, you knew that we were not getting the whole story in that book.
Yeah.
Where there was some stuff that the Glassworkers were very clearly not telling us. And that everyone else said, this is what the Glassworkers did, but the Glassworkers refused to say it. And you know why they didn't say it, because it was really incriminating on their part. Same with the Shadow Lord's book, same with the Uktena book. Silver Fangs. How much did the Silver Fangs not tell us?
Fuck that.
Real quick.
Ed, what's up?
Just because they told us doesn't mean they didn't give the perspective or try to shine a light on something from a different perspective to make it look better than it was.
Now, what I'm saying with the Unreliable Narrator is that there was still stuff in the Glassworkers book that was true, where you could cross-reference that with other books, look into it, and say, yes, this is where the Glassworkers are being honest with us. No, this is where they're being dishonest with us. Where if you cross-reference the other books, you can tell who's being honest and when. And that's what's fun about the Unreliable Narrator, trying to find out what points of the lies are lies. Meanwhile, with Toreador's second edition, the entire book was lies, to a point where nothing that was said in that book could be verified or validated in any other clan book. So I lost interest in Toreador's second edition because I said, well, if this is all lies and all Toreador propaganda, then why should I take anything you say seriously, and everything in this book is going to be objectively wrong? So I just tossed it. This is what I mean with the Unreliable Narrator, where there needs to be some factual information in the books for them to be valid.
Yeah, it needs to be used. So while I understand a certain amount of propaganda is understandable, I feel like it still has to be what was the name of the accelerationist gangrel in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines that we first talked to? What was his name?
I remember we talked to Beckett.
Not Beckett. We didn't get far enough to talk to Beckett. Who was the black guy with the dreads?
Was it?
I can't fucking remember. Either way,
I don't think he was Gangrel either.
I thought he was. Either way, it's important. Or he might have been Bruja. I don't remember.
He was Bruja.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like a book should take sort of that tone where it's they have to give you enough information to be able to survive your first night as a vampire, but they don't have to tell you the entire truth. They're allowed to bend it to make it fit. But if you just go on waxing and waning about how great you are and how shit everybody else is, then it's really hard to make a compelling, clan book out of that.
Where same thing with writing for one story and then writing for another. Where Kyle, a movie that the two of us really do love, is Shinbone Alley. Where
beautiful movie.
That's a movie that we really do like because we see each other in those roles at different points in our lives. But the guy that wrote the music for that, George Klensinger, while the story was good, the music was left to be desired, right?
I mean, wasn't that not all purpose? The whole swing musical number of Shakespeare?
Well, yeah, but that song was bad by design. But I mean, what other songs in that musical were you humming to yourself after you saw that?
I was not personally, but the score was good. The music was the numbers were not.
Yeah, because ironically enough, the musical numbers weren't very good, but the background music was good. Because this guy's shtick, that was only his second musical he ever wrote. And what he was known for, and what put him on the map, was writing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Hold up.
That
No,
music.
who the fuck was that? Hang on.
Where he wrote a one-off song or he wrote scores. That does not mean that you can also write a musical.
No.
So this is what I mean with this, where this is a guy who wrote for Vampire first, and before he got good at Vampire, decided he was going to dip his feet into Werewolf the Apocalypse, is what I'm saying. So this book has got some jank and it's got some stank to it. So what I mean by revisionist history, you remember how Chicago by Night started with this whole blood feud between Menelaus and Helena?
Yeah, that does come up quite a bit in the book.
So as it turns out that it wasn't Menelaus rallying this group of Native Americans to help take back their land, and he wasn't this proud leader type like you thought he was going to be in Chicago by Night. Instead, it was the Uktena that were propping him up, giving him his achievements and his power, and they were the ones that scored his victory as well. Menelaus took the credit for it.
Yes, that comes up a lot.
So you see where I'm starting to have issues with this. Where, by that, like, you remember how much Menelaus stood out in that book and how fucking awesome Menelaus was, where that was a character that you wanted to talk about when we went over this book.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Like his face, his silhouette, this is a character that stands out and he looks like he is a character that could be a poster for Vampire the Masquerade. Instead, he's playing second fiddle to the Uktena now, where not only are his own achievements diminished, this is the guy that punched Pompeii and made it explode and killed Nergal of the Baali. And you're telling me that he couldn't handle a Toreador?
Yes.
A very, very old Toreador, mind you.
Yes, Helena is old as balls, but Doug, Menelaus is even older. And what is the key discipline that will decide the outcome of every dust up between vampires?
Who attacks first?
Blood sorcery.
Celerity.
Wow. Yeah.
So, if you want to get into a raw numbers game, I'm looking at Menelaus' stat sheet right now. What's this guy's celerity? It is 9.
I will say, though,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the history portion of it, but from what I read, I think it was converse to that, because it said in my section that it was because Menelaus appeared before the Uktena and warned them of the let me see there. Where the hell was it?
It's not making sense, is it? It's not making sense, is it?
No, it isn't, because it said that Menelaus defeated several Uktena Arun on his own, at which point he made peace with the Uktena and amicable relations began against them. It was Menelaus that warned the Uktena that the Europeans had moved in after the Indians were defeated at the Battle of Fallen Timbers in 1795 and Fort Dearborn was established. Menelaus said, "Hey, these guys are going to be a problem. You need to ramp up defenses and drive them out," and they did eventually overwhelm them. But it wasn't until, the Union reinforced and with firearms disease and professional armies with better supply lines did they eventually overwhelm Menelaus and the Uktena that were living in Chicago. I might be missing something.
That.
What?
I'll believe that. No, because Menelaus is the guy that fucking punched the ground so hard it caused the volcano to explode. This guy could have wiped out those entire forces by himself. He did not need the Uktena. So I need a good fucking explanation as to why Menelaus lost his fight. I'm not glazing Menelaus here.
But he didn't lose the. Well, the thing is that was how concerned with this is after the Convention of Thorns, and I don't think that Menelaus was a part of this at this point. But how much do you think it would have disrupted the masquerade had he went in and single-handedly destroyed, Fort Dearborn? If he would have single-handedly embraced every Union soldier, working at Fort Dearborn, and then taken the entirety of the Midwest back for the Uktena.
Not even to just fucking kill these guys, because this is a guy, not only is he Generation 4, but he got embraced in 1240 BC. Meanwhile, Helena, who was fighting that entire fight, got embraced in, she got in 1207 BC as well. But she had to diabolize her way to Generation 4, and her highest discipline is Dominate. If you want to compare a numbers game between the two, Dominate is what she's good for. and it's dominate 8. But in a numbers game, every fight between vampire can be summarized as a numbers game. You're using dominate against a guy that has humanity 10, willpower 10.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
So your dominate on those rolls, on those powers, you're rolling at difficulty 10? And it's a guy that can just spend a point of willpower to just resist the domination? Meaning that this was a fight that was going to live and die off of the colonists to be invading. Or even if they had Shadow Lords at their back, would have still lost that fight against the combined forces of one Bruja Elder, who is that strong, who's on the same level of power as Troil, and the Ectena, and the Children of Gaia, and the Stargazers.
But here's the thing. It's like... No, sorry. Edin, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just love how Helena was brought up. And literally in the book, it says that Black Fury has past lives and actually has her ancestor take control of her and recognize Helena and her companion as the ones that murdered Hit and her pack in like ancient Greece.
And that's it.
I just thought it was hilarious that it was in the book.
Yeah.
And then you got fucking Menelaus over here. Like, you're seeing visions of Menelaus, you're seeing visions of Helena. And not only that, but this game also curbs the sacrifice of Menelaus too. Because apparently Menelaus didn't go down in combat. He's not even in Torpor. He's up and moving, and they tend to have his body.
No, I read that he was in Torpor.
No, he's fucking like up and walking around. He's having conversations with the characters.
Oh, shit. I missed that part, I guess.
The whole like mystery part of Chicago by Night, where this guy's in Torpor and could solve all of our problems if you woke him up, and could be the guy that would free you from Helena and Lodin's scheming. Why isn't he doing that?
Well, I see from what I read that he was still in Torpor at the time.
Because it's still in Torpor. Well, you still have like in the adventure module, you have this guy giving commands in the adventure module portion. So he's still around, but even if he is in Torpor, so what? The Ectena just have this guy's body, and they're just holding on to it, and that's it.
Well, how much do the Garrow actually know about Torpor?
I'm going to say a lot when it comes to Ectena, because with the requirement to be Ectena and to have great Ectena as your totem is that you need to be a cryptophile, finding out as much information about the world as possible.
That does make sense, but even still, like that doesn't. How active is this ancient vampire?
And with a G4 Bruja who is on your side and is established an alliance with 3 different packs, you don't think they would want to get him out of Torpor as well? Like go and like find some sort of ritual, or maybe, hey, we found this dude in America. Let's drag him back to our home and get his blood in Menelaus' mouth.
Well, not just that. Imagine if he would wake up, then Helena would know exactly where he is, and then send pretty much the entirety of the Camarilla after him.
But the Shadow Lords have turned on the Toreador by this point. They work with the Camarilla as a whole, but they're not loyal to Clan Toreador.
Well, no, they're not. And that, and with the impending blood war as well, that's what have fractured all the Garrow following that. And I might be getting ahead of myself here.
But because the reason why the Ectena and the Shadow Lords were at each other's throats during this part of the book was because of the shit that was going on in South America at the time. This was still during a period of history where the Ectena and the Shadow Lords were actively trying to kill each other. Because after all, the Ectena blamed the Shadow Lords for the loss of Middle Brother, and the Shadow Lords still refused to understand what was going on with the Bane Tenders. Yeah. This was still during that time. So,
which is why Chicago is the way it is to begin with.
So it's just, like, Chicago by Night, that story was good. It had good backstory. It was like Lodin, it's his story. It's a guy who, him and his own bullshit is the reason why his city's falling apart, and anyone and everyone they're waiting for this guy to die so they can run the city better than he can, but he won't go, and manages to sucker your characters into working with them. But with the werewolf angle now, Kyle, we're getting to the levels of werewolves where there are 153 Geru outside of Chicago.
Outside of Chicago, but are they really willing to get into that bullshit when there is an active blood hunt going on for them?
Yes. Yes, that's in the adventure module.
Is it?
And they split down the middle. They split between Team Alpha and Team Silver. But it's just really fucking hokey to me that you have 63 Geru in Chicago hunting vampires, and they can't get their hands on Loden. It's what's really fucking hokey to me.
Well, it's not just that. It's that Loden controls all of the, human institutions as well. Like, yeah, there's random acts of violence and hysteria throughout the city in this adventure module, but that would make things all the more difficult for the Garrow, because if they saw these folks walking around in daylight, not only are the cops going to be suspicious of these group of people looking around trying to, find and kill somebody, even if they had the gifts to lie their way through them, then they got to deal with, all of the other things that go on in the night in Chicago to try and get to Loden successfully, break into his haven, fight off all of his guards, potentially gargoyles, potentially spirits enslaved by the Tremere that are there, and then fucking kill Loden, and then hope to God they don't wake up Helena in the midterm of that. There's a lot, there's a lot buried beneath the surface that, sure, if you throw enough Garrow at any problem, it'll eventually kill it to death, but there's a lot more repercussion of that, and that's the whole issue with, a brute force mentality of a Garrow frontal assault, is that within both the earthly planes and the Umbra, there is so much that can be upturned that would really come back to bite them if they ever did manage to break through, kill Loden, and regain control of the city. Then they would also have to deal with the Sabbat, also have to clean up the Umbra, also have to contain Jupiter, also have to retake the Phantom. A lot can go wrong here.
Absolutely.
It's a lot can go wrong, but when I read through this adventure module, there's a lot of unnecessary padding bullshit that happens in the story. That makes me wonder, why did we do this? Because it just feels like we wasted time doing this.
Do you know why they put that stuff in there, though?
Because we want to have a game if there wasn't all the padding.
For filler episodes.
Yeah. But that's what it is.
I'm good at those.
This is a module that takes 7 in-game days to complete. When if the Garrow Nation was competent, it could be over in 1. Because all you need is 1 Wendigo with Beat of the Heart Drum to brush sleeves with Loden. And that's it.
But Loden isn't the cause of the issue. It's the Black Spiral Dancers having taken over the Phantom that's the issue. Having control of Jupiter is the fucking issue.
Well, then I need an explanation as to why does this adventure module spend so much time hunting Loden?
Because they weren't aware of the back half of the book, which is the real issues behind Chicago.
Because this is what I mean with Chicago by Night, because we waste so much time pursuing Loden, where you have Jupiter, the Phantom, and the BSDs as the inside instance of this, but so much time is just wasted with Loden. And he's an interesting character, but we could have written a better story. And the adventure module ends with him getting killed off.
Well, I mean,
and it's like,
yeah,
it's was any of it necessary? Is the question?
I think the back half of it is. I personally think that Loden should be killed around about the midpoint of it. I didn't read the pages that you read. However,
and you wait until the ass end of the module where he gets a fully developed boss fight, and then retaking the Phantom is not even a full page.
Is it really?
It's not even a full page.
See, that's a little bit rough, because I feel like the Phantom should be a lot more in depth than that.
Because we haven't even mentioned the Phantom yet. Okay,
no,
so
we have
the Phantom is where Menelaus is, where it's an arcane occult library where they either have Menelaus or they had Jupiter, where during that whole battle they were having with Helena and her forces, they called upon an aspect of the Celestine Jupiter to come down and create a big damn lightning storm that killed a shitload of people.
See, they did that entirely on accident. In prehistory of the Chicago region, there were, the region of Chicago, or at least present-day Chicago, used to be a huge wormhole that, like, a whole bunch of Banes would crawl out of and terrorize.
And still is.
Yeah, it is. And so the Ectena found this anchorhead near Chicago, or near present-day Chicago, and found a way to call upon all these really odd spirits to come out and destroy the Banes and chase them away. And they were successful. However, hundreds of thousands, well, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds of years later, when, the Ectena and Menelaus were under attack from Helena and all the European Garrow tribes, they tried to do the same ritual again and accidentally called upon Jupiter, to to drive everybody out. The settlements were destroyed in a great fire and a great storm. Hundreds of lives were taken.
Such a metal image. It rained fire from the sky.
It really did. And it cost the lives of hundreds of both Actena, leeches, and Garrow. It was just insane.
And then after that happened, Actena just stepped out and looked around and said, well, that's the best it's going to get. And then the plot just kind of got put on pause for a while.
Well, they were like, well, we've got Jupiter here. We can't do anything with her. Let's bind her to this. Like, they were trying to rebind her and instead just made a building to put her in. And,
now the question is this the Jupiter or is this just a piece of Jupiter? Because
it was Jupiter.
Yeah, no, it's not, because when we talked about Rage Across to Heaven and when we talked about our spirits episode, not every rat spirit is Rat the Totem, but Rat the Totem acts through every rat spirit. Where the Jupiter in question that you're talking to, where yes, there is Jupiter in Rage Across Heaven, which was not written yet, but it existed. This is a piece of Jupiter pulled off and sent down to Earth to act on the will of the Celestine Jupiter. It's not Jupiter as a whole, because if it was Jupiter the Celestine, that would be on the same level of cosmic catastrophe as Jupiter breaking orbit, flying into the planet Earth, and merging with it.
Well, the end of the book kind of makes it clear that the Jupiter planet kind of breaks apart. Within a couple of years of if you fail to save Jupiter in the Chronicle, it says that in like 2 years the planet starts ripping itself apart.
Because a piece of itself is fundamentally missing, as partially corrupted by the Wyrm,
it's more like that giant snake in Pangea is Gaia, as well as that aspect that is in the I forget the Umbral Realm. It's some or something. They're both Gaia, and in the Apocalypse book it says that if one of them dies, they both die. Kind of deal.
Well, I would say that it's more like a better example would be Bat, the Shadow Totem, where 2/3 of Bat is evil, but there's a 1/3 of Bat that exists in a separate body from Bat, while simultaneously being connected to the hive mind of Bat, that you can still talk to and get favor from without getting Wyrm corrupted.
That'd be the Camazotz?
Yeah, yes, before the Camazotz decide to do the suicide move, where you still need to explain to me why that's a good plot point, because it ain't, but...
It isn't.
Yes. Is this technically an aspect of Xerok? Yes. Is this all of Xerok? No, when it comes to this Jupiter subplot.
Basically, how, like, Bacchus is not Dionysus, is not Shiva. We were talking to Bacchus in New York.
But by the way, that's Jupiter Xerok in question. That picture of him.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Yeah,
that he's a Garu.
He's the Super Silver Fang, is what he is. And that's fucking Falcon in his hand, by the way.
Well,
the Spin Doctor that drove the entire tribe to shit. Great.
Personally, I feel like it should be the entire Jupiter, or if not the entire Celestine, it should be like a conduit they corrupt, and then that spreads to the main Celestine.
Well, that would be the case with what you said about the second part, because that's what happened with Bat, where Bat a part of Bat's now fighting at war with itself about whether or not to go all in on evil and be with the Wyrm, or to redeem itself and forgive the Urination for the Camazotz. That's what's going on with that. So the second thing, the latter thing you said, that is what's actually happening. And so you got Menelaus, you got Jupiter in the place, the Phantom. This place exists in modern day Chicago, where it disguises itself as a library, or is it museum, Kyle? It's one of the two. But
it's an entire skyscraper.
Yeah,
it has public access areas as well as private studies.
Where it's this entire building. It looks like you would think it's a glassworker cairn. It's actually an Actena cairn. They have the entire occult library down below, where I'm sure Great Actena would occasionally come to visit and say, "Hey, bro, you got any new books lately?" And then you take him off into wherever he lives in the Deep Umbra.
And then it gets fucked up.
Yeah. Because the insane incident in this book, a bunch of Sabbat managed to Shanghai and sucker a bunch of BSDs, or is it the other way around? The BSDs sucker the Sabbat into attacking the Phantom.
Earlier,
but a diversion. There's a diversion first.
Yep.
Yeah, but the Succubus Club.
Yep, the BSDs and Sabbat both managed to sucker and brainwash a whole bunch of bonars into attacking the club.
That
as
is
fodder.
true, actually. It's in the book.
Now, why is the Succubus Club important?
Because that's Helena's haven.
It is where she, as an Osiris-type feeder, goes to get her herd.
Yes. She's
So-
a siren.
So, in doing so, this pisses off Helena like nothing else, who then flies to Loden's face and says, "What the fuck just happened to my club?" Resulting in Loden saying, "Oh, all right, don't get your panties in a twist. I gotta go get this settled for you," which results in vampire politics being thrown because the camera gets thrown into high alert, pulling them away from the Phantom, allowing the Sabbat and the BSDs to flood it.
Well, not just that. They call a full-on blood war against the Garrow.
Oh yeah, because Helena, seeing the wounds caused by the Bonars, says it's the Garu's fault for doing this. That's when the Phantom is attacked, because Loden knows about this, and Loden doesn't lift a finger to stop it. This is why he doesn't stop it, because Helena wants blood.
Not just that, she also thinks that Menelaus is behind it.
Where, of course, because everything she sees is Menelaus. Menelaus lives in her head rent-free.
He really does, and in doing so, it terribly fucks up Chicago. You literally, I'm gonna be honest, reading the parts of the book that I have, this is like in Call of Duty United Offensive, where you sail into Stalingrad, they hand you a magazine and say good luck.
Because you got the camera on high alert. The Sabbat, given that there is no such thing as restraint in the Sabbat, are now going out in the streets in the middle of the night, causing crimes left, right, up and down, left and center. And now the BSDs are hunting Garu in the streets. So a lot of stuff happens within 1 week with this.
Yes.
And even though you got this premise, what do you do for 3 of those 7 days? You sit in a family's home and do nothing.
I
That's
think
all
the
it's-
art for the Succubus Club opening, it's absolutely metal.
So yeah, it's wouldn't it be really cool to play this out? As it turns out, yes, you have the option of playing this out. When you go into this module, you get the option of playing as 3 different groups. You can either play as the Garu Nation, you can play as the Camarilla, or you can play as the Sabbat. So, Ryan, we're about to run Chicago by Night. Which of the 3 would you want to play as?
Given that I already played Ventrue, I might do something different.
Sabbat. Say Sabbat. Say Sabbat.
I've already
Say Sabbat.
I've
Say
already done
BSD.
Sabbat.
There's do it again. The Sabbat are awesome.
Now, the one gripe I have with this book is that you can't play as the BSDs.
No, you can't, because that's a chronicle that will fall apart in seconds, because the BSDs are too evil to play as.
I mean, you would do it, and then you would have to, just wash off your face, look at yourself in the mirror, and then just kind of sit in the shower and think about what you've done.
It's the same reason why you don't have people lining up to play Wraith the Oblivion, because the stuff that's in a BSD game, it's too edgy for you to expect your players to be okay with.
That and
Well,
Freak
in this
Legion
case,
as well.
with this book, if you're just talking about the ones at the Fionum, it's probably the most tame you could run BSDs as possible. It would be stuff like, say, hunting down regular Garu, corrupting the local spirits, maintaining the forces around the Fonum itself, maybe dealing with some scouts, that kind of thing. So you aren't dealing with the whole inner workings of a hive. You're in like a guy in place you're trying to hold long enough to corrupt.
But what would that chronicle look like? Because this chronicle takes place over 7 days, and the retake of the Phantom is on day 7. So is this going to be a lot of wargaming, or is there going to be a lot of downtime where I'm either going to have you guys go off and roleplay, leading to the edgy shit that you see in stuff like Freak Legion, or am I just going to have to keep pressing the fast forward button and it just turns into a war game where we don't really get to play the characters? We just play builds.
I'm thinking it's going to be more like a spy game, where during the downtime you're actually not down, but you're actually trying to set up the Camarilla and the guy in Garu to like attack each other, trying to put them in disadvantageous positions or play them off of each other. Anything to do to try to weaken them before the final encounter on day 7.
Which, ironically enough, is not brought up in this book. You actually had a better idea than the writer. Like into
Just
this.
a whole bunch of centrifuge. That is,
Oh,
or
no.
not centrifuge, subterfuge. That's pretty good, Edin.
Right. If you, the only way you could have a, say, a Black Crusade game in Warhammer 40k last is if everyone was playing as the same Chaos Legion. If your Chaos Undivided, it would fall apart. But what you described is playing that game as the Alpha Legion, where that is the only way you could keep a game like that running for a long time. So, better idea than what's actually in the book. But either way, that's your backstory, and with the option to play as 3 different groups, Kyle, what I would kind of liked to have seen, but it would have been a colossal mess, would have been if you had the option of playing all 3 of these groups at the same time.
That would have been a colossal mess.
Well,
Because, well, here's the thing. The Camarilla would be at odds with the Garrow would be at odds with the Sabbat, and every character would be trying to kill each other.
Where,
you-
you finish the thought.
Sorry, would it be like the movie Vantage Point, where you're intentionally making players play it in order with viewpoints, where it progressively gets more
Yes.
revealed with the meta plot, but otherwise it's not chronological?
Yes.
I hated that movie so bad. So much.
Or do like a Pulp Fiction kind of game with this setup, where you do your scene with the werewolf, the Camarilla or the Sabbat. You do the scene; those characters are done. You then put them off to the side, and it's up to the storyteller whether or not they come up again. Where, like, the whole adventure could begin with the raid on the Phantom, and then we switch to the Camarilla and Sabbat parts. And it's complicated to do a game like that, but I've been in those games before. Because, Kyle, the first game, like the first real D&D game that I got in that ran on for a long time, that was a game where I was playing as Regis and Lou in 2 different scenes, in 2 different parties.
I mean, I do like the idea of being able to do that. It probably would require a very sturdy a very sturdy group of characters that know how to jump between roles. Like, I've been saying it for a while. I would adore a New York Dark Alliance game as like a penultimate. We would switch off between playing our vampires and playing our werewolves, doing separate things.
Yes.
And I think that'd be like just a really cool way to tie it off. It's like, okay, we've all had our differences in the past. The Garrow defeated Malkav, and Pentex is going to try to move in and take over what's left. You guys kind of need our help on this one. And it's just a great way to kind of like tie off all of our characters' stories in that one. It's like, okay, we just have to stick together for this one if we all want to survive to see tomorrow. Because it is Werewolf the Apocalypse, it's Vampire the Masquerade, but there's no Masquerade anymore.
I'm also thinking of how you could add a risk-reward system into it, because with these 2 different groups, yes, you can do this in your game that would give your werewolf character an advantage, but it would screw over your Camarilla and Sabbat character later down the road. So it would lead to questions between not just the individual characters, but the party as a whole. Do we want to give these boons to this group and have shit come bite us in the ass down the road with the other group?
To build on that thought, you could have it where, like you said, you're at the Fionum for the final day to start, but every encounter within there, you have an interlude where you go back in time and playing a different splat or a different group, and depending on the outcome of that mini session, it sets up or alters the next encounter.
Which is what I thought was the case when I first read this book, because I thought you were supposed to run all 3 groups at the same time. But then I looked at it again and no, that's not the case, where it's supposed to be pick one of 3 adventure paths you're going to go down. And it's like Pathologic instead, Kyle, instead of Heavy Rain, where instead of all of these protagonists are doing the same thing and they occasionally cross paths, but without necessarily seeing each other's faces, it's instead you pick a group, and then the 2 groups that you don't pick do their jobs as the story demands it, but they suck at them. This is how the game wants you to do it.
That's kind of what I was trying to do with the Hounds, and which is why Joker died.
Where there's a way that you could have this work too, because you remember when we were doing Red Cross New York, that we had those sections with Ragnar, Vigo, and Sylvester.
I'm gonna be honest. It was really great when when they crossed paths, and when they both got interlocking scenes where it's like they were in separate places but working towards the same ends. Like you had the scene where Vigo and Ragnar were fighting Vosfredi and trying to take on Gracia, and then Great Wendigo was summoned to destroy Gracia, while Ragnar was able to, dispatch Vosfredi, get his soul back, and Vigo was able to defeat I forget.
Well, he never actually got in a fight with Grisha, now did he?
No, not Grisha. What was the knight's name? He started with an R. I forget.
Ruslan.
Ruslan. He was able to defeat Ruslan.
And then the same thing, like the explosion that Grisha caused. The werewolves went over there and saw it and said, "What the fuck happened here?" And same thing with Ruslan, where a character that terrorized you with a different group gets defeated by a different group.
Yeah, I love how it all sorts of builds on each other. And that's what I really like about Chicago as a setting. If there weren't so many holes in the plot, if it weren't so at odds with Chicago by Night, I think it could be something. But
this is a book that I've looked at fan responses to it, and this is a book that they liked that you tried going for espionage. They liked that it was really ambitious for its time. They liked that it was brutal with its conclusion, and it tried to put you in situations that were putting the gun to your back. You had to make the right decision right then and there. I'll talk about the decision later. But this game is really imbalanced for its encounters. And it is railroaded as shit, Kyle. It's like, where it starts off as this investigation thriller, but then it just turns into a slugfest as the game goes on. And when it comes to railroading, for example, where I've been accused of railroading in the past, there's a difference between having a story that's on rails and railroading. Where with Mage the Ascension that we're running for our channel right now, that is a story that I have on rails, and I have stuff that's the story will not progress until you do this. But I do not say that you have to do it right there at that moment. I did have to reach in and grab Kaminsky and drag him back over to the party at the end of the second episode, only because we were about to run out of time, and I wanted to get you as a party together as a party at the end of that session that day, and that was the goal.
Yeah.
But I still let you go off and do what you want to do on your own.
I was worried that I was fucking with it a little bit, but I'm like, this is the logical response of Gershwin right now.
Because I said, okay, instead of you going to the hotel, I just say, okay, no, we're not doing the hotel scene, where I just deny the hotel scene and say, you must go with Tim and Vite. Instead, I have you do the scene, and then you get an explanation as to why that plot point fell apart, and now it's a mystery thread.
Exactly, and it worked phenomenally to your favor.
Meanwhile, railroading is, I was in a game of Story King's Thunder, where that whole Nightstone beginning part at the beginning, my character was not allowed to leave the tavern and go off and look at the rest of the Nightstone until the Storyteller was done with the scene that he wanted to tell in the tavern.
Yeah, being adaptable to the players is a very difficult thing to do.
That was the session I walked out in the middle of it, where if I'm trying to do something and then you tell me no, and same thing like when we were friends with Metal, where he was running Rabbit of Frostmaiden out a second attempt, and I was a druid in that one, and then he was just straight up telling me that I could not roll checks because I was a druid.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
And I got, some of my players told me that I was railroading when I was doing Changing to Dreaming, but no, I told you at expectations when I started that game was going to be about the Smiling Friends, quote unquote, agency. But when you're in my DMs sending me 2 pages worth of Word documents, text, about what you want to do next session, and then you get pissy at me the next session when we start this up, and I told you what the story was going to be, and then you want to make the story about yourself and your own power game, that's when I get mad. And then you want to accuse me of railroading when, no, this game's not about you, it's about the story that I already had planned out that I laid expectations for in the first session.
Yes.
But So yeah, that's the big difference between the two. So there's this. What I mean by this is that when I say this game is railroaded and stuff put on rails, there's some stuff that happens in this book that I have no logical explanation for why my characters would do that, besides that it just needs to happen for the story the storyteller wrote to progress. Because there's just some stuff that happens in the kindred portion of the book that I just don't have an answer for you on. That I just don't get, why are we doing this? It just doesn't make sense.
No.
So, now we're going to get into the actual adventure portion of this module. We're going to start with the Garu portion. All right, let's make characters. Kyle, who are we playing as?
I don't know. You didn't give me any. Oh wait, am I supposed to make a character?
Let's roll a random character. Let's do it.
Oh, well, I mean, if I was to make a character for this game,
let's get the Price is Right music and play in the background for this.
I'm gonna be honest. I was watching a video, and this goes back to my character corner when I said I think of the soundtrack first. And while I was writing my notes for the video, I picked up my guitar and I just started playing some blues riffs. I would love to play an Octena Galliard with a level 2 fetish guitar.
An Octena Galliard, he says.
Yes.
All right. Let's get the Price is Right in the background. All right, Ryan, where are you playing as?
Techno remix.
Yeah. It's not Techno, it's House actually.
I would play. First thing that came to mind was Wendigo.
All right, a Wendigo. Yes, I'd love to see you play a Wendigo. What's auspice? Think.
I would play.
Aaron.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Either
You're in the road. Let's do it.
Or what's fuck? I gotta look at the list again.
Right, Ragabash.
Yeah, I haven't played a Ragabash. I'll play a Ragabash.
And Edin, what are you playing as?
Don't know.
Do not say if house didn't sound.
I'm going to. It's going to say a PSD, but I don't think that'll fit.
That will not fit. No. See, shall we roll for a character?
There's a very clear answer here, Edin. You are an evil SOB, and there is a very good evil SOB faction in the Garrow.
Surfangs.
Oh, better than that. Come on.
Shadow Lord.
There you go. That's my boy.
The Shadow Lord with auspice.
Said Philodox. I haven't decided the name, but aims for higher ground.
And there we go. There's our party. All right. And the Price is Right. So let's going into this module. Our Octena, our Shadow Lord, and our Wendigo are summoned to Chicago, where shit's fucked. They were saying, hey, you guys just recently passed your rite of passage. We got a Lordy Lou. Do we have a war for you? You go over to this place called the Ring of the Raccoon, which is a little sept that's got, but we'll take a while to guess who the sept totem is.
Raccoon.
Yes.
He's a pernicious little bastard.
Where you go over there, you pass a drive check, or I don't know, you can just be lupus and travel on foot. Why does it have to be a car? But you get over there, you jump over, moon bridge over, however you want to get there. You're in this giant grassy circle. It's filled with tents. And it's got all these different Hamid Geru and Lupus Geru and Semetis over there. And they're all having a good time. Where, Kyle, what's your favorite movie?
My favorite Apocalypse Now, I'd say.
That's the right answer, Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Chicago. Shit. I'm still in Chicago.
So you know the scene where it's Captain Kilgore having the barbecue and everything?
Yes.
The book describes that scene.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm on board, man.
It's basically that scene where it says like all the tribes are off doing different activities. The Fenris are taking turns punching each other in the face. The Fianna are drinking. The Children of Gaia are having an orgy. The Octena having a powwow. You know what's expected between the tribes. And you go over there. You're introduced to a character called Terry. You spell the name wrong. If it's a girl, it's supposed to be Terri if it's a girl's name. But she's got an M16 grenade launcher, M16 with a grenade launcher.
She's got the M16A2. Hell yeah, Vietnam. Let's go.
Shellord kinfolk. She says, "Okay, here's what's going on. We got this whole plan. We're gonna raid this Black Spell Dancer pit, but there's also vampires everywhere because we got the blood hunt declared on us. So we're gonna have half the guys. You're gonna call them Team Alpha. Go into the wormhole and teach these BSDs a lesson for taking over the Phantom. We're gonna send the other group, Team Silver, which includes you, to go hunt other vampires. Does it make do I make myself clear?"
What do you mean we can just go kill the black spirals? I mean, they're the most pressing threat right now, aren't they? I mean,
See,
this is Octena's land. you can't expect me to do as you say, you know?
The BSDs are in the hole all in one place. The vampires are looking for us, trying to find us. And last I checked, you're only rank 1. So if you want to go to the point where you can be a Team Alpha, you have to do Team Silver work first.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah. So yes, we can't all be winners, you know.
Well, I mean,
And
what do you mean we can't all be winners? Look, we're supposed to be fighting a war. What's the point of not having winners if you're not allowed to win? I mean, explain this to me in your weird, fucked up Shadowlord logic. Come on.
in terms of how many Geru are in this campground, by the way, 153 Geru, Kyle.
I mean, I think there's a lot of us. If we all just go and do one, and then go and do the other, we could solve both of these problems like that, you know? Easy.
Kyle, to explain that number to you, that's 31% of the Stargazers.
Damn.
Yes.
I was about to say, like, first of all, wow, we're stacked in numbers, but also, wow, the Stargazers are fucked.
It has never been so over for the Stargazers.
Well, it's their fault, but you know.
It really is. So, eventually, a Sun Strider called Antheus appears and says, "All right, guys, the jig is up. The Black Spiral Dancers know we're here. Maybe if we did light a fucking campfire at night, they wouldn't know that we're here. But, you know, that's just me saying things. And we need a group to go over and check out the Black Spirals and figure out how many are there. We want to send a scouting party. And who gets volunteered for this? Your pack gets volunteered.
See? Was that so hard? Come on.
So, Octena, when to go, and Shadowlord, you go off and go into this cave where there used to be BSDs, and now there's not.
Well, shit, this is disappointing.
It turns out that they were in a cave that was outside of this cairn, Sept, or whatever the fuck it's called, and then they're already gone. They turned out that they saw the Silent Strider leave, and I've already told the other BSDs about this. So when you come back and to report what you said, the Shadowlords and Gutfamers look at each other and say, "All right, there's no chance we go about this stealthily. We gotta go for an all-out assault. That's our only option." So, Team Alpha and Team Silver, no point in trying to be slow about this. Do what you gotta do.
Oh, cool. See, good. See, look, I was never good at stealth. Why do you think I carry a guitar around with me all the time?
And then you have other random encounters that can happen. There's this Black Fury male menace called Shadgut who's causing problems. They can punch in the face. And you can be friends with him, but he won't join your pack. There's a bunch of Fenris that are trying to start shit with Antheus. There's this big moot that happens, and you roleplay out the moot. We already know how this works, don't we?
I don't know. I like it. I'm having a good time playing this unknown Octena Galliard.
Yeah. And then after all this is done, who runs into the group right after the revel? Antheus was not the name of the Silent Strider. He's the name of a gangrel who runs in.
Hey, Gangle, there we go. See? Easy peasy.
And he comes in, the Shadowlords say, "You're not the guy who's scheduled to show up." And he says, "All right, sorry, my name is Antheus. I'm a gangrel. Inyanga, your actual contact, if you remember her from Chicago by Night,
yes,
couldn't make it. She called out for today. So I'm here on her behalf, passing the message." And the Gaffarus immediately try to kill him.
You people are really, really, really stupid.
And so you, the players, have to go and intervene between them, and if you botch the rolls, then that Tina will solve the problem for you. But either way, that settles. The gangrels say that the gangrel are going to be neutral. If any gangrel in the city wants to start shit with you, just mention my name around them, and they'll stop. And then he leaves.
Why can't we mention Inyanga? I mean, yeah, she's not here, but still.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure the gang will look at you and say, "Bullshit! You don't know when young up.
I'm a
Nobody knows who the
tenor.
fuck you are." So, yeah, and then there's also rules in here for a right called Tears of Renewal, where we actually get a role played out. Right. This is level 5. 8 Gnosis is required on the roll. This is a large rock crystal on a leather thong.
I think that's a
not-
gift, not a right.
No, it's a right. No, it's a fetish. I'm wrong.
Oh, right.
Each night, the crystal condenses moisture, which hardens into a small crystal tear. When allowed to melt on the tongue, the tear returns spent gnosis. Basically, what this does is that you roll gnosis. You need 8 successes for this, and you can squeeze it out into your tongue, and it will fully restore your gnosis.
Oh, damn.
So that fetish that Edin was talking about, that was the crutch for the to make sure that the abomination could function mechanically for the story. That's what that is.
I mean, you could also argue that an abomination that feeds on Garu blood gains a point of gnosis per point of vitae you would normally gain.
If you want to marry the mechanics, yeah. And so it sounds like we got a pretty good set for a campaign, right?
I quite like it already.
Yeah, I'm down.
So what happens is that the 3 of you get in a car. So I guess one of you owns a car. Who has points in drive?
Me.
All right.
I would say, yeah. The Wendigo has points in drive. I would think the Shadowlord did, but okay.
No. I said not me.
Well, it looks like the
Driving's
Shadowlord's
beneath
driving.
me. I am above
All
all
right,
of you.
fine. I have to drive the gigs anyway.
And as you're driving along into Chicago proper, where it's a long road trip, it's the big road trip section. This is where they want you, the players, to get to form each other as a pack, and you get to bond and everything. And then as you get to Chicago, through whatever contrivance you want, where either the car blows a flat tire, or somebody wants snacks, or somebody needs to pee, you go into a convenience store, and you're immediately jumped by 4 Fomori. They're all psychos. I think the term that they would eventually call this would be the Gorehounds, is what they are.
I'm gonna beat one to death with my guitar.
And after that encounter's done, that's just there to show you how bad things are with Chicago.
Sweet home Chicago.
After that, you finally drive back, and you're thinking, well, where exactly are we driving to? Well, we're supposed to meet with a contact as part of Team Silver at the Lincoln Park Zoo. As we're driving over there, before we get there, we see what looks like a bunch of bikers harassing teenagers. As it turns out, those 5 bikers, those are actually Gangrel.
I'll let them harass the teenagers. They're Gangrel.
Yes. So, if you wish to approach them, you can mention the name Antheus. They start like a little bit of shit with you. If you kill them, it kind of derails the story. But either way, the bikers leave after you deal with them however you want. And then your actual contact shows up. Susan Upshaw, who is Lieutenant Kinfolk, meaning that she is not white.
Hey, there we go.
She has straight black hair, and eventually she'll learn to love the natural look. But until then, she'll keep using relaxers and straighteners. She shows up. She's got a 37 Magnum on her hip. She says, "Mom," she doesn't mess around. She drives you all the way back to her house after, I guess, you abandon your car or you drive the car behind her. That makes more sense. You drive your car behind her. And you go over and you meet her family, where she's got, she is the daughter of Zachary Upshaw, who's the granddad who lives in the house. Her grandma also lives there. Her mom also lives there, the grandma, Ada Upshaw. And her brother also lives there, Jimmy. And then you get to talk to Michael, who is also Susan's brother. And then Michael has a wife, Jessie. And then they have a kid, Robbie. So it's Susan who owns the house, and it's a little bit complicated what the household is. But you know, living with a intergenerational household, it gets that way. And then they adopted 2 kids, Tammy and Mary, whose parents died during the whole Phantom raid. So, crowded house, right?
It is, but you know, it fills me with a sense of nostalgia being a tenor.
And this being a black family in Chicago, you know the food's good.
Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah.
See, Kyle, Ryan, what's your favorite hood snack?
Corn dogs.
The corn dogs.
I don't know what a hood snack is.
I'll tell you what a hood snack is. It's,
I can't find them up here either.
It's the Zapp's potato chips, the Chester Cheetah's hot fries, honey buns. If you take Kool-Aid and you put it in an ice tray, and then you put that Kool-Aid ice cube in your mouth between your teeth and cheek.
I haven't had those. I have to say, oh geez, what
do that with
would be
coffee.
my favorite?
That works too. I sometimes freeze the coffee and put that in my coffee in the morning.
That moment when
so-
you realize they make the Kool-Aid by literally just pouring more and more mix until it tastes good.
Yeah, where
But
I
like
remember
5 times as concentrated.
I remember I told you about one of my coworkers where she was telling me a story where she got banned from her black friend's house for making Kool-Aid the white way.
that is a certainly bannable offense. It's like showing up to the barbecue with mac and cheese, and it's just like one kind of cheese.
With pasta, salad, or potatoes.
Oh my dear God, no! Don't do that.
That Tourette's guy moment where everybody came to the cookout with mashed potatoes.
With mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving, shitload of mashed potatoes day.
Or it's like you're responsible for bringing Gatorade to the team, except you use powdered Gatorade and follow the instructions exactly, so it doesn't taste as good as the bottled one.
You bought body armor instead. But
Powerade.
so you might be thinking, when do we get into the action? You don't get into the action, not until 3 days pass.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't mind a bit of RP at the start of the game, but like you could also streamline that a little bit, I guess.
Where there's going to be a lot of downtime at the start of your game, where it's just going to be you hanging out with this family.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of this game is going to live or die depending on how good your storyteller is at this part.
There's no issues with. There's no problem. Fuck. There's nothing wrong with a little RP.
Right.
No.
And
One, it gets your party all together and talking and interacting with each other, and two, it's the calm before the storm.
which is what I try doing with my games, where I'm running an Egypt game on Rich Coast Egypt on Sunday before we run this. It's an every 2-week game, and what I'm trying to do right now is try and get these characters to talk with each other. And same thing with Mage the Ascension, where that game will not work if our characters do not like each other. So that's something that I keep pushing for, where I really do like character interaction. Same thing during a short rest and while this is going on. And now we get to the point of the book where I read this, and my enthusiasm for this module immediately died. So I am going to read this verbatim. At Scene 11, What a Babe, Schwing. Note, this scene is optional. It is for only male characters. During the night... hold on a minute.
Have sex.
It's worse. During the night, the male character with the highest physical or social ratings awakens to the urge to urinate. However, the upstairs bathroom is currently occupied by a family member. Only the downstairs is available. While this character is urinating, he glances out the window and notices a beautiful woman in the back of the house by a pond. She is taking off her clothes, apparently preparing to go skinny dipping in the pond. She turns, sees the characters, and covers herself. She begins putting on her clothes, looking very embarrassed. She walks up to the character by the window and tells him it's rude to stare. The character gets a better look at the woman and finds she's the most incredible woman he has ever seen in her life. She is Golfura, who we mentioned before in Chicago by Night. She knows the Geru at their arrival in the city and plans to make at least one Geru her thrall. Before the rules of Demon of Fallen were written, she was given Presence 5 and Dominate 5, and will use both of them on the character. Once he is outside, she tells him that she is the neighbor who lives a few houses down. Her name is Mrs. Johnson, and she's a widow. She often comes to the pond at night to swim naked, though the Upshaws do not know it. She's a very pleasant and intoxicatingly sexy. She asks the character to go for a dip with her. She swims around with him for a bit. Eventually, however, they wind up on the side of the pond in each other's arms. During the ensuing experience, the character is unable to resist changing forms from one to another. 3 hours later, she leaves. She makes the character, through Dominate and Presence, promise not to tell anyone else about her. The next morning, the character awakens totally exhausted. For the entire day, all of his physical attributes are 1 point lower. She literally wore him out. He has also been drained of 2 points of willpower. The next day, she comes again to the character when he is alone and they continue their lovemaking. She drains 2 more points of willpower and forces him through the whole sequence through different shapeshifts. On the third night, she appears out of nowhere. When the character turns around, she is there. She pushes him to the bed or in an alley, wherever the character is supposed to be at that time. And again, wears him out, forcing him to change to a whole series of different forms during their lovemaking. However, she stops draining willpower from him. The character is now her thrall and is under a bond very similar to a blood bond. Gulfura will attempt to corrupt the character into doing many evil things for his or her gain. Occasionally, she will suck off, that's very unfortunate wording, suck off another point of willpower, but she will never let the willpower drop below 2. She will eventually try to corrupt other male Geru and force them to kill any female members of the pack. She will maintain a loose control over the pack until they die or she gets tired of them, whichever comes first. Since Wyrm will reveal that she is Wyrm tainted, and any gifts that act against Wyrm creatures will operate on her. If this scene is used, the storyteller must tie it into the rest of the events. Gulfura will use the war to gain new thralls, and the following plot points may be revealed during the third night. Actually, none of these plots actually come up into point because Gulfura's name is never mentioned in the rest of this module. So what the fuck with that entire section?
That is basically a screw to the player in case the DM is really, really fucking it up.
Where this
there's a very easy way to get rid of this. You don't do it.
This has no business being in this book. Where I can tell you what happened. The dude who wrote this got fucking horny and then let his penis do the writing for this. This isn't something that belongs in a tabletop game. This is just porn. This is just porn that you put in the book. Where it's fucking degenerate too, because with that writing too. So you're not just Hamid, but you're also cross-form, where furries exist. But Hispo and Lupus
in all your forms.
But
You kind of said it wrong.
Hispo and Lupus too.
Yep. All the forms.
No.
So, Ryan, if I pull this section out, if you're a player in my game and I said your character's going to be asleep while I take Cal's character through the scene, would you still want to be a part of that game after that?
Yeah. Like what? Repeat that.
A succubus seduces Kyle's character, and she has sex with all 5 of his forms while you're asleep.
That it depends on how you roll it. If I can make persistent willpower checks on following evenings to try and, or if there's an opportunity to replenish lost willpower on the first night, and if I refuse to check again on the second night, if it gets potentially worse as a fault of the player, that might work. But it's to fully thrall a werewolf and just kind of fuck over a character like that,
Before the rules of Demon of Fallen were properly written.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no.
It's a blood bond level 3, so you're obsessed with that succubus.
Where that's the point where we're now drilling the game, and this should have been a plot point in of itself, written better.
At that point, it's not even a player character. It's an NPC at that point.
Yes,
it's by that point because you take away that character's agency in doing that.
Yeah, you take away the character itself.
Like when you put a player in a situation where the combat counter is meant to be unwinnable by design, if you do that once in a campaign, it's fine. Or if you do that, like set up a final boss and you get like a power up that lets you fight the final boss, that's fine. But to immediately start off a situation where the game is supposed to be like unwinnable by design, and it thralls the character, and if you're that dependent on the fucking willpower roll, and then it's written like this, where it's like the Baldur's Gate 3 bear scene levels of fucking degeneracy that ruins the game. Dog, I'm not on board with any of this.
No.
This is fucking cringe, dude. Like, for real. This is... It's fucking stupid, and I would tell Storyteller, dog, I no longer feel comfortable being in a game with you. I'm out.
I have a rule for my future storytelling. It's that when the party or players get thralled, it shouldn't be an end of the character's agencies. It should be a change of the quest giver or active quest.
Well, and be careful about that, because that has the option of also derailing the story. when you
Right.
do that.
But that's why you have to plan around it. So those
What-
kind of encounters should be reserved for when the characters do something so messed up or get so on the radar by going off track that basically one of the background players the NPC players like a mob boss or something takes interest kind of thing. So it might be the
Yeah.
local vampire, it might be a pack of BSDs that want to corrupt the pack, that kind of thing. Eventually you're going to hopefully get them back on the right track, like, oh hey, they get freedom mind control or they get the Banes exorcised from their bodies.
I've done a game like this before with Hunter Reckoning, where a plot point in that game is that a BSD is lying her ass off to the hunters and is trying to get them to work in her favor. And when you ask Rappert about that, when you ask, he's in this server, Normal Square, about that, those two got really into that story. And it's because, well, is this character telling us the truth? Is she lying to us? And the plot of that was to get out from under her thumb and find out what the truth is supposed to be. If that is the center of your game, then something like that, this is fine. But if you're saying, hey, this is a game that I sold to you as a war story, and instead it's a sex simulator now, I'm not okay with that. So, yeah, my interest in this tanked after I read that section because this was very clearly written by a guy that did not really have, I'm going to put honest, like, emotional maturity, because this is like the kind of shit that I would read in Fatal, is what I just read. Alright, okay.
One thing I can say in its defense is that she's only having sex to make them throw. It doesn't.
But no, it's the forest for a tree situation here. It's the sex scene and how it wants to be role played out in this book.
Yeah, this is
That's what's
something poorly conceived.
Where, like, whenever that happens, like, when we have our live play too with, like, Ends the Road, Kyle doesn't sit down for 5 minutes with me and describe the positions and the thrusting.
No, the character just
no.
does, and I have to gauge that NPC's reaction to that.
Yes. So, fully playing it out like this, no, I would not be okay with any group that would do this. So, all right. Now to get off of this topic, the camera rollout portion now begins.
Yeah.
Hey! All right. Kyle, we're making camera rollout characters now.
Okay.
All right, Kyle, what's your favorite clan are you playing as?
Well, I hadn't gotten the chance to use this character, and I developed him all the way back when we were playing Las Vegas by night. Charles Davis, blues pianist. Embraced by one Scott Joplin back in 1912.
You're a Torpor, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Charles Davis, pleasure to meet you, man.
All right. Ryan, who's our kindred? What Camarilla vampire are we playing this time, Ryan? Don't tell me this man's asleep at the wheel and muted.
You know what? I will play. No, I'm not there. We're good. Be good. I will play. I'm a Cavian.
All right, I'm Alcavian. There we go. Edin, what are we playing as?
I'm guessing a Ventrue.
A Ventrue. There we are. And you share blood with Lodin because no other Ventrue is allowed to exist in the city. All right. And with that, our character's been made. We will now begin the vampire portion of this. All right. Which begins the night after the Succubus Club attack happens, where the three of you are already in Elysium, one Toreador, one Malkavian, one Ventrue. You get a call from Lodin and say, hey, some shit went down at the Succubus Club. Would you mind coming over here for a minute?
No.
Define went down.
All right. A bunch of our guys got killed by werewolves, and I need to tell you instructions because I can't leave the premise.
And you can't tell us over the phone because
these werewolves have the ability to tap wires, which is why I rather tell you this in person.
So why can't I come over to where you're at instead of going to the place where they was just at so I don't get killed?
Because I'm here with my men. Helena's also here. We've got the area settled down.
I'm sorry, who's here?
See, Helena's also here.
Hey, yo, you know Helena?
Yes.
Not you.
Fucking...
Ooh, that's a woman you do not want to mess with.
On a scale from 1 to get my balls kicked into my throat, how bad do I not want to mess with her?
Your balls would go out of your throat from your crotch.
Okay, we'll be right over then.
All right. So you want to drive over? The three of you come over, and you've got the entire club wrapped up in police tape as Loden's looking over there and saying, all right, so what happened? Our club got attacked by werewolves. As for why, I don't know. I'm ordering you. We got to scramble around. Do not stay in your havens because it seems like they're attacking havens. After all, they just attacked this haven. You're going to have to find somewhere else to sleep for tonight. I know it's disappointing, but it's for your own safety.
I am going to saunter over and get me some of that sweet lupine vitae for my refined taste as a Ventrue.
One of the inconvenient feeding type. As he is proving this, he leads you behind the police tape, past all these police officers to the point where only police officers who are loyal to him and will not say anything about this. He leads you over to 5 different tarps. There are 5 Geru bodies, all of them in the Hamid form, that are covered in tarps. He pulls them back, shows you their signs, and say, "You see this sign? This sign is what they mean for Hamid. This is the sign that means Bonar. These are the people who attacked us." So, I'm also ordering a blood hunt on any werewolf that you find. If you find a werewolf in the street, kill them for me and for Helena.
Okay, now I don't mean to throw you off your game, Prince Loden, but you know Charlie is I ain't much of a fighter. I play the piano in clubs, man. I don't do much fighting, so I'll see what I can do. Don't you worry. But I'm gonna take a back seat on this one, okay, boss man?
You there, Malkavian. Guess what's in this magazine? Take a wild guess as well. I've got my hand.
Right
As soon
on.
as he unmutes himself. As the correct,
Yes.
the correct answer is silver.
Gold.
As he will pass over the liquid gold to you.
Liquid gold.
As you guys are equipped with silver bullets to hunt these vampires. Not vampires, werewolves.
What'd you do to piss these bonars off? Not let
We
them
don't-
use the bathroom?
Look, we don't know. We don't know yet. Still looking into this. This is an investigation. We're investigating. You, as Hounds and Harpies, your job is to go and make these people pay, as I'm going to pay you handsomely for a successful blood hunt.
So
We'll
blood's
say
their blood.
this is 1993 money, $5,000 for every dead werewolf.
5,000. How much?
For every dead werewolf.
Well, that's a tall order, but I do gotta make rent. So
Do as you will.
oh boy, I'm gonna have to
long as they
kill
don't
so
have to
many
die.
people to get this done, man.
And in case you're wondering how this is played out, if you encounter a Bonar, well, it's just you and your vampires driving around the street for that night. If you encounter a Bonar will recognize that you're a vampire and will run away from you while claiming innocence.
What?
So,
What?
you just gotta chase these guys down in the street, basically.
Sorry, homie.
I know one Bonar who wouldn't run.
Yeah, Cleft. Notice this doesn't really make sense. Like where I told you about the unbalancing, where if the Bonars were pursuing you, this campaign would end in one scene.
Yes. Well, there are
And-
40 inside the city, but again, how hard pressed are the rest of the Garu outside of the city to go in to try and help them?
Where the ultimate development of the scene is that after an X amount of time passes, you see what looks like a beam of red light just shoot itself into the sky, and then all of a sudden disappear.
That's supposed to happen.
As a few minutes later, a biker is driving past you, where he ends up falling off his motorcycle, crashes, rolls on the street. He's looking up at you. He's got this big gash across his chest.
Is he just like a human biker?
No, he's Gangrel.
Shit, man, you good?
They just attacked the Phantom. They attacked the Phantom.
The fuck's a phantom?
The Sabbat attacked this giant skyscraper called the Phantom. Man, they released a demon inside.
Whoa, hold up. Malkavian, can you make sense of what he's saying? He's talking crazy.
No.
I'm going to use my lupine lore. That's a building that a lot of werewolves live in.
It is.
It's a different type of
Generally,
place.
be nearby it. If they manage to release a demon in it, that means they managed to take out the werewolves first.
Man, there goes my fucking rent money. Shit.
Look, I need you to try and get back to my friends. They're anarchs. Could you help me get over there?
I'm sorry, you what now?
I got my other friends. We're anarchs. All right. I know you don't like us, but you gotta take me over there.
How much do you think that Prince Loden would pay for an anarch?
Hefty price.
Shit, that's better than nothing. I'm going to put him into Torpor, throw him in the back of the car, and drag him back to Prince Loden.
As you would find out, that guy was actually Gangrel and T-Tribu, who was trying to lure you into a trap.
Oh, well, I'm glad I dragged him back to Prince Loden then.
Yeah. After that, Loden will, of course, congratulate you for this. Say you get a minor boon. You should probably check out that address they had in his wallet.
Yeah, what is that address to?
It leads you to a little hideout of the Sabbat, where you find other anti-tribu. There are 6 coffins, only 3 vampires inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any names?
See, no names, just generic vampires.
Oh, great. Again, more people I gotta drag back to Prince Loden and get them questioned.
Yeah. And after you bag and drag them, that is your new haven.
Well, that solves the rent problem.
Don't
Right.
feel comfortable in a place where there's 3 empty coffins. Now 6. Where
Right.
the other 3 go?
Well,
Well, you killed one of them, so that leaves 2 of them that may or may never show up again.
yeah, and they were worrying about that Phantom building. But in the meantime, I got a place to get some shut-eyes, so I'm happy.
All right. And there we go. And that is the end of the kindred portion for tonight. Now the Sabbat portion. All right, new characters again. All right. Kyle, what Sabbat are you playing as?
Sabbat. Oof. Am I allowed to play as Antitribute?
Yes, they're all anti-tribu.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Oh Jesus, I have not thought of. I could play a La Sombra, I guess.
The Somber Schemer. All right. Ryan, who are you playing as?
Zimichi.
Simichi. All right, we got the bread and butter of the Sabbat. Edin, where are you?
With a piece of Samichi, can I play a gargoyle?
Gargoyle, how about Blood Brother?
But they would have to be here more of me.
This is Rick from... I'm
if
Rick
you
from Pawn
want
Stars.
Simichi-
Armor
I can
Harrison.
play.
See,
I can play Giovanni. I don't know. If that's-
there is no such thing as a Giovanni anti-tribute. They'd be killed on sight.
What?
Yes.
We can make
Damn.
we can make you a harbinger of skulls instead.
Sure. Let's do it.
Well, there we are. All right, so there we are. Even though we're kind of breaking continuity a little bit with the harbingers of skulls, it doesn't matter that much. Pays on the dollar. All right, and we end right before the drops happens.
Nice.
All right. So the Sabbat portion, you actually get to roleplay out attacking the Succubus Club.
Oh, so we get another, what was it? Church of Satan that we attacked in Las Vegas?
Where it's the whole campaign, it begins with you in a graveyard where you meet this guy who, frustratingly enough, has no picture at all. It is one Felipe Rigaud who you talk to.
He is rather important in the book, from my knowledge.
And he has no artwork and no wiki page.
Good job. Good job, White Wolf. GG.
However, there is a different vampire that you get to talk to a lot called Wendy Wade. As for what she looks like, Kyle posted her picture in studio notes. She looks like this.
Fucking Peter Parker ass name.
Yeah. Would you like to guess what clan she is?
Sabbat.
You
Well,
know,
that's her faction.
That big serpent eating its tail in the top left corner would let you know.
Oh, she's a serpent of light. Fuck.
No, Zimichi.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's Zimichi. Yes.
I just like being a smartass.
As, ironically enough, she's doing the reverse of what most Amici do today. She's not following the path of metamorphosis, she's following the path of power and inner voice, to quote her beast. And while she do with her vicissitude, she's a plastic surgeon.
Well,
actually,
if ever there was a job for a Zamichi.
As it turns out, she actually is doing what vicissitude was supposed to do.
Well, yeah, because, modifying people and giving superficial women giant lips to suck dick better with is the perfect application for a world-ending super virus.
We got the insula sombra.
You know what? I'm going with that. That's going to be his character. He's the insula sombra.
As you meet over with these two, Regald and Wade, where they say, "Hey kids, you want to burn out a strip club?"
I quite literally had nothing better to do. Why not destroy a perfect mating ground?
Alright. So, as you go into this, you of course are told that the attack will not happen until 3:30.
Oh, I get a
closing time.
couple of minutes to go for a drink then. Cool.
So you do the whole Voldery, or Harbingers of Skulls, Dimitri and Lasombra, mix blood. Regard also mixes his blood with you. Wade doesn't do the ritual.
Any reason you're not participating, Senator?
As you say, it's because I'm not participating in this pack. I'm your land manager, not necessarily your teammate.
I'm rolling perception and empathy. I'm rolling wits and empathy on that. I don't trust her.
It's more that she just wants to ball bust you, is why she's not participating in this.
Honestly, I wish for the story module for this bot they actually had a section where you have to pick out Garu to dominate and enthrall.
That actually would be a kind of cool mechanic, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, the prep phase is something you have to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete butt clencher the entire time, because if you mess up, it's going to be combat.
Yes, exactly.
As after you meet with Regald, he also introduces you to 5 blood brothers, where, keep in mind, those are 2 10-year-old boys in an adult man's body, and 5 other Sabbat scouts.
Okay, so we get, 2 kids in a trench coat and a bunch of shovelheads. I'm thrilled.
As Regard says, "Hold on a minute, I need to take my sons over to McDonald's for a minute." And they don't say O'Tolly's in this book, they say McDonald's in this section.
Before they had a full, Pentex book published.
And Regard, unironically, leads the Blood Brothers into the play place of McDonald's, and you have these grown man children playing in the play place while the scene's going on.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
So he sits down with you and says, "All right, so we just gotta wait here for zero an alternative motive as to why I brought you here." No, why'd you ask me that?
What?
And at 9 o'clock, these 4 men dressed in black will enter. They'll quickly trade envelopes with Regard. They walk out, and Regard says, "Oh, they were nobody important."
So you mean to tell me 4 black men in long coats, holding manila folders and envelopes, handing them to you in secrecy, in a McDonald's play place at 9 p.m. in the middle of downtown Chicago, nothing important? You are a terrible fucking liar. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
Well, if you really need to know,
Shut
who
the
they are,
fuck up.
Those are Black Sparrow dancers.
What the fuck is a black spiral?
Well, you don't really need to know. You're not going to meet them again.
You know what would be cool for this scene? If the dominated Bonars walked up on us.
Yes.
That would be cool.
The attack.
And you have this giant fight in the McDonald's.
Nah, they're like dogs.
Let's see.
Like at the ball pit with like open mouths wanting to play ball.
That's kind of funny. Play fetch with a bonar.
Snooter.
Yes.
Yeah, because they look like dogs too.
Once you're done eating your hamburgers, even though everybody's who took the eat food merit? Nobody, right?
No one.
Probably none of us. We're Sabbat. We don't care about these things.
Yes. Ryan, if you try eating the food, it will just fall out of your stomach, as you have no stomach anymore.
Nice.
Yes. You just gotta catch it in a plastic bag underneath your shirt. A colostomy bag.
Yep. You need to catch it.
You go over. All right, we're finally at the Succubus Club. As you're over here, the game really wants you to make a ghoul. So it introduces you to a character called Sophia, who's dancing on a pole. She'll dance on the table for you for $20. She's got no place to go, no real family. Who wants to give her blood?
Well, I'm the incel, so naturally I have a savior complex.
Is you're going to spit blood into your mouth, and you finally got pussy, but you did not gain it. You did not actually earn it.
No, absolutely not. Society owes me that.
It is. I'm owed that as I got my life ruined as a little son, but I deserve some pussy.
Exactly. See, you know what, this Lassam?
You're beginning to understand it now.
I am. I really am. This works too well. I almost...
See, we got to run vampire games soon.
Yes, we do.
As eventually coming into the club will be one Brett Stryker, who is the guy who's on the other side of a one-way mirror, currently playing with himself while he looks at the strippers. If you want to do anything with him, you can.
I'm gonna Boondock Saints him.
Yeah. If you wish to burn down this strip club, you can, or you can get Renaud saying, "Oh, actually, something came up. I need you to leave the strip club and actually attack the Phantom instead."
So wait, so we're not attacking this place.
Oh no, well, my blood brothers are going to attack this place. Actually, need you somewhere else.
Okay, what the hell's a Phantom?
All right, it's this giant skyscraper in the middle of Chicago. It's it's next to Lincoln Park. There's going to be 20 people in black coats waiting for you outside the building.
And how many people should we expect to be hostile inside the building?
Just as many.
Okay, 20 on 20. It should be a fair fight.
All right, here's some silver guns for you. Do as you will.
Whoa. 20 on 20, silver guns.
Yes.
Fellas, we're gonna fucking die.
Not if we keep our distance.
So if you, I would say if you players want to stick around and burn down the strip club, you can, but you're called away to the Phantom, where guess what? You actually get to play out this fight. And you have 20 Black Spiral Dancer meat shields to take the blows for you until they all die at the hands of the Ectena, and then it ends with you burning the place down. You set the building on fire, but it doesn't collapse. And you end up finding this stake and say, "Oh, this looks important." Snap, and then you end up releasing Jupiter.
Yep.
Amazing.
Well, the module the PSDs live.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah. If they survive the fight, you actually have to like play out the fight.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So
one thing I don't like about this portion of the story module is that the PSGs just kill all the Garu. What they would realistically do is, I feel as a storyteller, is that they'd grab all the Garu that were too old to flee, which happened to be like the lore masters, the scholars, the in-know elders. They'd possess them with Banes.
And interrogate
They
them.
could get,
That does make sense, yeah.
yeah. Plus, imagine you're Jupiter and these Garu are telling you, Garu that you've been with for like a century are telling you everything's all right, just have some of this gnosis. Here, have some of this gnosis. That's actually Wyrm gnosis.
If you do that with one guy and you go all in on him with the Banes, it would work. But individually possessing the Elders, you only have so many Banes to go around, and this takes time. So take one hostage, kill the rest.
I'm just saying, like, as a storyteller, I would have them bring plenty of Banes for that purpose.
Got it. All right. And now we're back to the Werewolf Potion. All right. So, Wendigo, Shellord, and Octena, you wake up next morning. Octena, why's your dick hurt so much? Oh.
Was I out drinking last night? What happened?
Yeah. As you go downstairs, you see that Jim, one of Susan's brothers, is already up. He's got what looks like a fireman's axe on his back. He's got a bunch of rope wrapped over his shoulder. He's got a bunch of Molotov cocktails already prepared on the table right next to breakfast.
So I assume we're working today.
Yeah, man. I couldn't sleep last night. I've been up since 4 doing this.
Is there any reason you were up since 4 doing this, or was I supposed to be informed about this job last night to get proper rest? What am I missing?
We got a phone call last night after you went to sleep. We got the okay to start hunting vampires.
Oh, so, well, then why the fuck did you make me go to bed?
Well, You need to sleep. I'm the chauffeur in this situation.
I mean, I appreciate, but it's broad daylight. What the fuck am I supposed to hunt in broad daylight?
Vampires.
Now, it seems
Yeah,
a bit unsporting, but like, sure, I guess.
Well, I mean, fuck these people. They attack the Phantom.
They what?
They attack the Phantom.
I'm grabbing all of them off the table and running out the door.
The encounters in this are honestly really underwhelming. Your first encounter, you go to 4 different havens over the course of this chapter. Your deadliest encounter is 1 ghoul, 1 vampire, and that vampire's disciplines are potence 2 and celerity 1.
So a cakewalk for Garrow.
Yeah, this is easy. This is too easy, actually. And the game gives you 50 stakes to use as weapons.
I don't know. I feel like we're looking in the wrong spot.
You attack the havens of Anita Wainwright. You attack the haven of Derek Stack. You attack the haven of Mark Levesque, and find out that he's already left. He actually found out he's actually smart. He knew what was going wrong.
I still think we're doing something wrong. We're missing something.
And then you attack the haven of Sharon Payne. After that, during this, you get a phone call from Susan saying, "Hey, my brother and his wife just got arrested. We're currently negotiating his bail."
Oh, Jesus. Hang on.
Yeah, she'll just casually just drop that in your lap. But she says, "No, I got this under control. You guys keep hunting."
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, it's the police. You guys got vampires to deal with.
Yeah, but the vampires like to take control of these things to reel us in. Just be careful.
As you're having this discussion, Jim has a bag phone that goes off. He picks up the phone, his eyes bug out, and says, "Shit, we gotta get to the airport immediately."
The what?
As he's gonna say, "There's 2 glass workers waiting for us at the airport. We gotta get there right now."
Okay.
As he stomps on the gas, takes you over. It is 3:15 when you arrive.
In the afternoon or in the morning?
In the afternoon. As you pull outside, there's there are 3 glass workers in total. Kelly Patterson, Mark Smith, and Kim Hubbard, who are all glass workers who say, "We're going to do a little terror." Just a little terror, just a little.
I mean, okay. What are we doing?
Would you, the players, like to roleplay attacking an airport and blowing up the computer room?
Yes.
Hold up. Why exactly are we doing this?
No.
Yeah. You can tell this was written before 9/11.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah, John just probably got us on a watch list if we weren't already.
There it is. As
For the Pentex episodes.
yeah, we do not endorse this AI.
Kidding, FBI agents who are listening to my calls.
Yeah. As
we're doing this in Minecraft.
Yeah, we're doing it in Minecraft. As the reason why
In-game.
Kelly tells you the reason why you're doing this is to shut down the airport itself, so no vampire tries to escape on an airplane, because they got caught wind that Loden just booked a whole bunch of flights for characters that had very suspicious names.
So, okay, I'm on board.
In fact, one of those flights is leaving now. It's for a vampire called Tyler.
Okay.
Kyle, that Tyler.
Wait, hold up. Which Tyler?
The Greta Thunberg vampire.
Oh, yeah, that asshole. Let's kill him.
The lady that started the Anarch Revolt.
Oh, yeah, wait.
That Tyler.
Hold up. Wait a minute. If she's important in fucking up one of the other vampires, then why don't we let her get away so she can cause trouble for more vampires, and we can kill more vampires, and they'll kill their own people? I'm kind of missing something here.
Well, Actena, imagine all the glory renown you will receive if you catch the vampire that started the Anarch Revolt.
Well, that doesn't seem worth it, though. Why they get glory for bringing someone in that hurts your enemies when you can simply let them hurt your enemies some more?
As this is what I mean with the railroading, where the game doesn't give you an option to say no. Where
all right,
the glass workers, The glassworkers would tell you, like, fuck it, we're attacking the place no matter what. You see the bullshit game design in this, don't you?
A little bit, yeah. It is
Yeah.
very strict on plot points.
So this combat encounter is 15 ghouls with 44 caliber revolvers and submachine guns, all filled with silver clips.
I didn't think there was this much silver in the world, man.
As it was also impossible to talk down these ghouls or reason with them, as Tyler managed to put all of them into frenzy before making her escape. After you kill all 15, you find that a private jet is leaving with Tyler on it.
Lupus form, chase after the jet.
Let's see. I don't know. Does anyone have a Stinger missile launcher on them?
No, but I'm sure the Glasswalker's got something.
Yes.
Make them control complex machine into the runway once it takes off.
That would sound like a good idea, but the module itself says no, Tyler must escape because she's too important to the plot to die.
Oh well, boo-hoo.
Once again, fucking bullshit railroading. Where afterwards you end up leaving, where Jim says, let's take a lunch break. Let's go take a lunch break.
So we fucked up and we go out for lunch.
Yeah, you just do a little terror and then you go over, go to a nice sit-down restaurant. Afterwards you leave and Jim says, oh, wait, hold on, we got one more address. It's on Rush Street.
Okay, it can't be any more eventful than everything else we've already done today.
As it turns out, the Sabbat has already gotten there before you, with 20 shovel heads.
Jesus Christ.
Huh.
So, finally, a battle that's on the same level as 3 Geru.
Well, we did say we wanted some adventure today, didn't we?
Yeah. So, as you're having this big damn battle, towards the end of the battle, you're supposed to get down to like 5 remaining shovel heads, or unless the party's on the verge of dying, where all of a sudden this pure white Geru appears out of nowhere, beheads almost all the shovel heads in seemingly one swing, and then leaves without another word.
You're not going to stick around to, like, meet and greet? Okay.
He looks at you out of the corner of his eye, and then leaps across the buildings.
What a dick.
Yes. And that's the werewolf portion of that chapter. So, you see why I'm bringing up the shakiness in this.
It is, yes, I will say it is a bit shaky, but I do like jumping between the different game modes.
Jumping back to the Camarilla. Now this is where the story gets nonsensical. Alright, so the game says, hey, for this chapter, you're just chilling out in the Haven. You get jumped by Geru. They use Sense Wyrm and manage to find out where you are in this Sabbat Haven, because the Sabbat Haven still smells like Wyrm. It says for this encounter, take the number of vampires you have, and subtract the number by 2, that's how many werewolves come after you. So just 1 werewolf in this scenario.
Well, fellas, we did say we was trying to get paid, didn't we?
But the 3 of you,
I want its blood.
but the 3 of you made the right options. You got 1 Sombra, where of course you have Obtenebration with you, or Potence, so you're able to punch on the same level of
no, this is the camera.
werewolf.
Wait.
No. So, yeah, you're supposed to survive this.
I have celerity. Ryan's
Isn't this
playing.
Camarilla?
It is. Well, it's Camarilla's portion, right?
Yeah.
If this was Sabbat portion, you wouldn't have anything to worry about. With the Camarilla, you do.
Yeah, I have celerity. Ryan has Auspex and Dementation, and Edin would have dominating potence.
Edin's doing the equivalent of the monk in D&D doing Stunning Strike to burn through legendary resistances.
Basically, so it'd be a pretty tough fight, but doable.
And you can either kill the Geru or he escapes, whichever of the 2 goes down. Where, of course, if you have 1 Bruja in the party, everything would be just fine.
No, we all went social build because Camarilla.
As you're looking around saying, well, what the fuck just happened? Like, we just woke up, what the fuck? You look around and see, oh, we're actually right next to a sewer. And the werewolves are coming out of the sewer. Amazing.
Man, I just got this suit.
Also, do you smell something burning?
Yes.
Because
Yeah, what is
because
that?
as it turns out, that werewolf actually wasn't alone. His other werewolf buddy just set your haven on fire.
All right, fellas, we need to skedaddle.
As what happens is that through means that are absolutely nonsensical, they want you to pursue the fucking Garu and keep the fight going. Where
Nah,
Mac,
I'm gonna
let me
get the
drink your
fuck up
blood.
out of here.
that's what you're supposed to be doing instead. Where you fight the Garu for a little bit and then you escape. And that's all it is. And that's the whole Camarilla portion. I'm so glad we had an entire, not even a full page dedicated to that.
Yay.
Yep.
Yeah, so that sucked, didn't it?
A little bit.
All right,
All
now
these one-shots are adding to my resume, guys.
yes. And now for the Sabbat chapter. All right, so this guy that wrote this book decided he would just want to phone this in and said, hey, your characters just go around and fight werewolves, and then that's it. We're not going to provide you with a stat block. Just go around and fight werewolves or some shit. I don't know.
So yeah, it definitely seems to be flimsy near the end of it.
All right, chapter 3, where if you think this book is already on the level of TLDR with itself, well, you haven't seen anything yet. All right, so you end up doing the airport job, you do the Rush Street job, you go home, you sleep, because by this point you've been spent on Gnosis, Rage, and Willpower. You wake up to hear Susan over the phone saying, my brother and my sister-in-law, I paid for their bail, but the police still won't release them. What the fuck? And the police chief ain't responded to me.
I told you. I'll go get him.
So as you go down there, well, if you want to release these guys, the book tells you, the storyteller, just do everything you can to stonewall your players and not actually release the guys, no matter how high you roll.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. This fucking sucks, doesn't it? And
See, like, we were going so well in the beginning of it. Now it's just...
And now it feels like the guy, like, Kyle and Ryan and Edin, you remember, like, you were writing, like, essays for school. And
Yes.
all,
You just have to reiterate the same points over and
like,
over again.
Like on the introduction page and the first point, you would go all in on it, and then you would just lose enthusiasm and energy for
Just
it.
phone it in paragraph 2 and 3.
And then like, at the conclusion, like it's like one paragraph for the conclusion, and that's it. Like you fucking, I don't want to write no more.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know that whenever they told me I had to do an essay, I looked them dead in the eye and said no.
Yeah.
Why I had to do ninth
I'm
grade
running
over.
this shit. So this is what it feels like. It feels like we're in the middle portion of the essay, where like the high school students phoning this in now is just repeating stuff already, or just he'll say a point, and then he won't elaborate on it.
Refuses to elaborate. Leaves.
So either way, now you have vampires who are with the Sabbat out in the street with silver guns that are doing drive-bys on your characters, by the way, as random encounters. And they will speed off before you can attack them.
This book
that's
could
obnoxious.
be so good, and it's just shit.
And then there's a whole section here where it's saying, oh, by the way, you get a phone call from this guy who's like 10 and he says, hey, can you check up on Team Alpha? We haven't seen them in 4 days. You go to the wormhole I don't know, anyone else could have done this, so why is it you who's doing it? To find out that the sole survivors of Team Alpha are 2 Silverfangs. And that's it.
And you decided to tell us about this now.
Yeah. And both of them are already dying. You have to use Mother's Touch on them to make sure that they're still part of the story. Do you have anyone in the party that knows that?
Do we have a Theoj?
No.
Well,
So
then I guess they're dying.
Yeah, I guess they're dying. They're out of story now.
My character slowly plunges one of their own blades into their gut to hasten their demise.
Well,
it's not because you
suffering
hate
out that
them.
illness.
It's I'm just killing them so I can get their shit as a Shadow Lord.
Yeah, exactly. You get a silver longsword off of their bodies.
Yeah, but you're also you also are technically following the litany. Suffer not, they pack with thine illness.
Yeah, so my revenge murder is okay. Yeah. As either way, they tell you that the BSDs are still out looking for shit. The wormhole, it's the best it's going to get. They managed to push back the force of the worm. Nothing else is going to come out of that hole, at least for now. As
I don't know, I don't feel like being a Bane tender anytime soon.
That story module said because everything already left the hole, and whatever was left over is what killed them.
Yeah, and it's just a hold at least the atrocity realm, and nothing else is coming through it. So
Yep, because it already came through.
it's that scene of like the termites, like the end of the termite war in Ants. Like the fight's already over, and everything that was going to happen has already happened. And then the book doesn't explain why we're doing this, but now we're in a movie theater for some reason. Yeah, it's just the next scene. We're just in a movie theater now.
What are we
And,
watching?
The Wolfen.
Fuck is that?
That's just what. Yeah, it's a fake movie that they just made up.
Oh.
And ironically enough, the people that are giving you missions now are a Getafenris man and a Black Fury woman. So that's how you know shit's bad. The two of them are sitting beside each other.
Okay.
As we're going to tell you, hey, we got a call from a person claiming to be Kelly Patterson. You know, one of those lost workers. She's held hostage in Cabrini Green. How about you go and solve the issue on your own while we watch a movie?
So, but
Yes.
why the fuck can't we do it?
Like, the bull fucking shit at Getafenris would sit that out.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so either way, you go to Cabrini Green, and it's this big, wild fucking goose chase, whereas it turns out, no, you were just lied to by Wendy Wade, who changed her vocal cords to sound like Kelly in order to get you to attack a rival that she hated, is what's going on here.
I was going to say, the only way a Gyro would be taken hostage is if they're being possessed by a bandit. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Well,
the whole
either
thing's
that
smell like
or-
bullshit.
Either that or dominated by a vampire made into a thrall.
Yeah, that's going to be some high domination level, too. As
The only thing the Getafenris are afraid of is being possessed by a Bane.
I guess the movie is just that good, he has to see the whole thing begin to end.
Bro got 2 hours to kill.
So you go over to Cabrini Green, you know, where Candyman was filmed, where it takes place, and you do the whole fight there, and then you go around and you find a guy, and his name is Jackson. I'm trying to find his first name, I can't find it, so we're just gonna call him Michael Jackson. And he says, "Hey man, I'm not the Ventrue Prince, but I can tell you what the Ventrue Prince is if you let me go, man. What do you say?"
Talk first.
He's in a empty amusement park. That's where he is. And if you go over to that park, you'll find the prince.
Excellent. And I stab him through the heart.
And he dies.
You know,
Oh,
I think
what
we
the
should have.
fuck?
I think we should have taken him with. We should have taken him with us.
Well, that's a point of honor I'm pulling away from you for not accepting an honorable surrender.
He's a vampire.
Well, he was surrendering.
He was, and I said we should have taken
up
him
to
with
war.
us in case anything went wrong. We could have thrown him to the. Well, not really thrown him to the wolves, but just thrown him in a way, and then
But you remember
From-
Susan? You
From the
remember
vamps.
Susan's brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and brother? As it turns out, this is where they're being captive. That they were prisoners in transit who never actually got to their destination.
And that's why the police chief's been ignoring their calls.
Because he's compromised, yeah.
I fucking warned her.
So as you're heading back to the Upshaws to return her family to her, all of a sudden that white wolf from before just jumps into the middle of the street right in front of your car.
What's up? What's going on?
Hello
He
there.
says, "Look, guys, it's me, your friend. My name is Harold, and I'm actually I'm a Silverfang, and I've been turned into a vampire. You've got to help me.
Anything to help a noble Silverfang.
Here's my
My
entire
character-
backstory that we just told about in the beginning of the episode.
My character relishes the opportunity to slander the Silverfang's name by pointing out they have an abomination of their bloodline.
Yes, I know my life sucks, and all I want in life anymore is to get revenge on Loden for putting me in this situation. I'm the Robert F. Kennedy werewolf. You gotta help me."
No.
That's kind of harsh on RFK.
That's what it sounds like, though.
He does sound like that, and he is insane. He's gotten a lot of tunneling brain parasites.
Yeah, he also said autistic people just can't live normal lives. Where may I remind you who's on the spectrum?
Exactly. Well, quite a few people in our Discord server. Probably
Myself
myself included. I never got diagnosed, and I never will.
This guy will just forcibly like put himself in your pack. So behold, you have a new party member. Cool.
You know what?
Do we really have to
I was
deal with
looking over
him?
the stat block like a few minutes ago, and for Ventrue, the Abomination splat or rules say you get 3 dots starting in your clan's disciplines. He's a Ventrue, but he doesn't have any in Dominate.
They all go into presence or fortitude. So yeah.
It said 3 in each.
Yeah. So it doesn't have.
So I'm guessing that's just an oversight, and he just dominates his way into the pack.
That or it could be that Maxwell's part of a bloodline instead, where it's a venture because that Loden and Maxwell were very high generation, so it's conceivable that he did start a bloodline where he has a third discipline of your choice instead of dominate. So it's always good to have a vampire with or werewolf with aspects, so just give him aspects. Right. But either way, where does Pariah want you to take him? He wants you to take him to the Succubus Club.
Okay, why?
What's there to do there? As he goes there, you stop over at that movie theater before, and through this completely nonsensical turn of events, apparently the Galliard and Black Furies are just okay with him being around, and they go and attack the Succubus again and kill a bunch of Loden's men. And as to how we get from point A to point B, this book does not tell you. So yay.
Yeah, good job.
It's erasing memory.
Yeah, I think like Pariah's like yeah, there is part of the party, or like or he's off to the side, like away from the Galliard, because the Galliard will kill him if they know he exists. But either way, he participates in the Succubus fight, and then you kill a bunch of a bunch of vampires who are all Ventrue, and who gives fucking shit? Because if the book doesn't care about what it's telling me in its Ventrue module, why should I, man?
It doesn't seem to follow its own story at all.
Where stuff is just happening now. It just happens. I thought we were going to a fucking theme park. Why are we attacking the Succubus Club again?
Evidently, because it's the Silver Fang commands it, I guess.
Either way, you go back to the Upshaws and find out that they're all dead.
Jesus.
And then and Michael and his wife are the only two that are still alive. And is this ever brought up again? No. And the book is just going, does this make you mad? Does this make you mad, bish? And that's all it goes into. So that was really gay.
Yeah,
I don't mean gay as in homosexual. I mean gay as in fucking retarded. Let's come back to the Camarilla part. The worst part of the book is this chapter. All right. So you get a phone call from Loden's right-hand man, Balthazar. After you're escaping this, I don't know where the fuck he knows where to call you. So, once again, stuff just happens in the story. It says, "Hey, we got some prisoners for you to pick up at Cabrini Green. Can you make the drop off? Can you make the pickup?"
And we're back on which arc of the story?
The Camarilla portion.
Honestly, man, I feel like I'm just running errands at this point. Like, we barely survived a fight with a werewolf. I don't think we got the energy to do this, man.
Well, no, this is easy. This is easy. You're just picking up some prisoners and just moving up to another spot.
Motherfucker, nothing you have ever said since you started asking us to do shit has ever been easy. Get a fucking gangrel or a fucking boo-ah to do it, man. I'm going to bed.
All right, put the Mokiva on the phone.
Fuck it, Ryan. Fucking you talk to him.
Hey, Unicorn, do you want to see Melkavian, do you want to see a unicorn?
Like an actual unicorn?
Yeah,
Or like a drug unicorn?
No, an actual unicorn.
Sure.
All right, that unicorn's in Cabrini Green. I need you to drive over there with your pack.
Somebody else drive. I'm gonna
with
take
my
a nap.
pack?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, your coterie.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm not traveling with the pack.
I got the Sabbat in my brain. The game forces you to drive over to Cabrini Green and to do a prisoner pickup, and you meet Michael Jackson again, and he says, "Look up, I got this big conspiracy going on, and I'm going to these lupines to head my way, and I already know what's going to happen." They never explains how he fucking knows this. But it says, "Oh, and I'm going to try to get them on my side, and I'm going to stick them on Al Capone. Al Capone's going to die tonight. Hee hee." That's the plan.
Oh yeah, I forgot that motherfucker was still alive.
It's like, you guys think that Loden sucks, right?
I'm just sick of being his errand boy, man. If you got beef with him, you take it up yourself. I want to get the fuck up out of here.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
Everybody's sick of his shit. So when I do my master plan and get Capone killed and then Loden killed, I'll be the next prince. So if you side with me, I'll get you positions as Primogen and Seneschals. Do we have a deal?
Man, if running your goddamn errands is gonna get me anywhere, then I may as well just keep being an errand boy. Matter of fact, I don't dig you, man. I don't dig what you about. I don't dig the fact that you asking us to do more shit, man. I've been running around all over the goddamn place with these two motherfuckers for the past 3 days. Quite frankly, I'm sick of people telling me what the fuck to do, okay?
You just need to chillax, man.
Well, the prisoner's just over there then. As you pick up these guys, you move over to the Succubus Club, which is the drop-off point. Oh, so that's why Pariah wanted to attack this place. But it doesn't explain why we had to, fucking derail the plot for a minute to go attack this place. And you drop them off over there, and then the guys say, "Hey, you know Helena's boyfriend, Prius?"
What?
Yeah, Helena's boyfriend, Prius. Well, it's like, did you, the players of Vampire the Masquerade, actually forgot who this guy is?
I did.
So, you remember Helena's awesome fucking backstory where this guy was the Prince Charming who saved her from her horrible rapist husband?
Oh yeah, that I do remember.
Yeah. Here's a picture of him, by the way. Posting him up again. There he is.
Hang on.
He looks pretty charming, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right, Toreador. Yeah, because I remember because he's another one of the examples of World of Darkness where the face is too small for the rest of the head.
Yeah. That's weird.
He's not even a brace, he's a ghoul. And he's been around for this long.
There must be some potent vitae.
So,
Right?
so he's mentioned this game to tell you that he's dead.
Well,
Yeah, you thought that was going to go somewhere. You thought his character was going to go somewhere. You thought, like, I don't know, him and Helena would interact in this module. No, they just kill him.
Yeah, wait, no, I thought we talked about this in the Toreador episode. Prius died.
Yeah, this is it.
He died trying to save Helena.
Yeah, and like it just happens off screen too.
No, in the Werewolf Module, you can actually kill him.
Yeah, that he got killed by fucking werewolves. And, yes. Yeah, but the point still stands. He just fucking dies off screen. So that's fucking stupid. Where, dog, Helena and Prius, this story was awesome, and this is just how it ends. Where, I don't know, with characters that are this important to World of Darkness and that important to Chicago by Night, you think we would be there to see it happen? Question mark?
Nah, probably not.
No. Either way, there goes your Camarilla chapter for the part where that's when this thing jumped the fucking shark for me, and I said I'm never running this fucking shit. Never would I ever do this.
As Yahtzee Croshaw would say, this is where the story goes way across the Tropic of Fuckabout into a mountain of dicks.
So now we're going to the Sabbat portion again, where I can't even fucking tell you what's going on with the Sabbat portion of this.
This game is just full back and forth.
It is. It's just, you go to a place, you talk to a guy, get information. You go over to another place, you go and get information. Where it's just like you talking to like BSDs for a scene, and then like you go off and you talk to this character and you talk to that character, and then it ends with you saying, hey, we now know where Al Capone is. We're gonna send you to go kill him.
Jesus Christ!
I'm wondering how Al Capone even got into this story in the first place.
He just gets dropped into it. Like say like, I remembered Al Capone's a character. Let's put him in it.
There's no build up. There's nothing. You just gotta go kill one guy.
No, it's like we gotta go after Al Capone now. But then you go back to your haven, a bunch of like 10 ghosts that you can't fucking fight unless you have a certain level of tenebration or you are a cold dune, harass you and chase you out of your haven.
I mean, go ahead, Ed.
The story modules rely heavily for random encounters that they give you.
But this is fucking bullshit, man. Against enemies that infinitely respawn, like it says in the book, that you can't damage.
So is this just is this just like the end of Halo Reach, where it just says current objective survive?
This is the Quezon mission in Black Ops, where you fight the entire fucking Vietnamese army, but you're just stuck in that section of the game perpetually.
That fucking sucks.
The module says that if you flee, they'll harass you in small ways.
Yes.
In minor ways, so that might be tying your shoelaces whenever you go to sit down, and then whenever you stand up, you trip.
And these guys just pursue you for the rest of the fucking game, too.
Yep, it says that until the Fianima is reclaimed, they'll harass you.
So that sucks. This just sucks, man. Is this? Okay, now for the last chapter, let's just go over. Let's get this shit done. Okay, Octena, Shadowlord, Wendigo, are you actually excited for this person anymore?
I mean,
No.
Yes.
do I actually get to do something?
No, by this point, I would have gotten DMs from everyone at the table saying, "Can we please play something else?" Or I'm leaving the game. Something came up.
I've been checked out for 30 minutes.
That's what it would be. So you go over to the amusement park, and you go into House of Mirrors, and there is a cute little detail in this saying, if you try stepping sideways through the funhouse mirrors, it will warp your body to look like what it looks like in the mirror.
That's funny. That's really funny.
And the only way to fix that is by stepping sideways through the same mirror. I don't know, maybe. Well, I'm sure if Greed was here, he would say, "Well, what if I went through the mirror that gave me the big ass?"
Or the big muscles.
Then you'd have a big ass, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there it is. I give myself 5 points in appearance.
Give myself 10 points in strength.
So you guys want me Al Capone?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's in the basement of this mirror house, behind 3 metal doors and sheets upon sheets of bulletproof glass, talking to you through an intercom. You don't actually meet this guy face to face.
I'm going to step sideways, and hopefully those walls and bulletproof stuff aren't in the Umbra, because they haven't existed for long enough.
They are in the Umbra, and you need a straight score of 10 to even begin to move them.
I would like to assist with the roll.
Yes. So, out of the way, the whole scene is in here to say, "Hey, players, you wasted your fucking time coming after me. Jackson lied to you, and Loden is the real prince."
Okay,
So
where's he at?
And he doxes Loden for you.
Okay, cool, thanks, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm so glad we spent an hour of this session going after a guy that immediately turns us around for a scene that lasted not even 5
I'm sorry, but the princess is in another fucking castle.
Yeah,
It's true.
and nothing actually fucking happens in this amusement park.
This module has such
Sucks.
great potential. It could have been a great setting with a great multifaceted conflict with literally a battlefield going on in Chicago between the Sabbat, the Camarilla, the Garo, and the Black Spirals, all fighting over different parts of the city. Just from the description of the city alone, this could have been a great setting, but the story module involved in it is so abysmally structured and so just painstakingly railroaded that it's just not fucking fun.
And what was the objective of this game again?
I thought we were supposed to retake the Phantom and defeat Loden.
So explain to me, like we're taking the Phantom, why we have 7 pages dedicated to Loden.
Because whoever wrote it really, really liked Loden.
So what this is that you're given this whole big detailed description of his safe house. It's protected by a 12-foot tall iron fence, 10 ghoul guards, different patrols walking around and do check-ins every 10 minutes. If you try jumping the fence or stepping sideways through the fence or phasing through the fence, there's a 6-foot long, 20-foot deep pit filled with stakes made out of wood waiting for you at the bottom of that will kill you instantly if you fall into it.
Well, that just sounds
Cool.
unfair.
And then when you finally get into Loden's Haven, you go around and he's sitting for you and he's just You have to fight 7 ghouls with silver bullets, which is not hard by this point, given how much experience you're probably going to have. Or, I don't know, just have a child of Gaia in your party with jam weapon.
Honestly,
Boom.
I feel like this would make a lot more sense if the Black Spiral Dancers were a playable 4th path, whose sole goal was to slow you guys down or pit you against each other.
If it turns out like BSDs were like sitting on a goose chase this entire time. And you
Yeah,
could team
but
up with
reliving
Loden.
events and stuff.
Yes. And that you actually do like something like a Dark Alliance where you like sit down to make a deal with Loden. But instead, you're forced into this situation where Pariah is with you for this encounter. You encounter Loden, who's sitting at his desk in that picture, where he's surrounded by a bunch of guards, and he says, before you shoot me, take a look at the TV screen behind me. And his right-hand man, Balthazar, has a bunch of kinfolk who are not named, held at gunpoint. He says, if you don't want these guys to die, I need you to put these handcuffs on. Do you do it?
You're gonna kill them.
We all know they're already dead, and that's not a live feed.
You're gonna kill them anyway, even if we do.
So, if you immediately attack Loden, all the kinfolk die. If you put the handcuffs on, Loden's guys will shoot you in the back of the head, instantly killing your characters in the module ends.
So,
and then the kinfolk die anyway. But what you're supposed to do for this very specific chain of events that you would have not planned for if I did not tell you this before, what needs to happen is that you need to have a Glasswalker Theurge specifically as a player character who is in your pack, who looks at the TV screen and then uses that to step sideways, and then uses pack chain to bring everyone into the Umbra with him as he's stepping sideways, which will then instantly transport you into the room with Balthazar, where you can then fight him and save the kinfolk.
Glasswalkers are the best. Changed my mind.
So how the fuck were we supposed to know that?
You weren't.
No.
Yeah.
Now,
And
if
then
this was like one of those branching path kind of stories, that would be a neat thing that you should be able to figure out and do on your own without it being a main path. But being the only correct option, that kind of fucking sucks.
So you need one guy playing this one build to be able to do this. Yes.
Yep.
Or if the storyteller just feels like, hey, I don't want to give you guys like a shitty ending, Pariah just steps through the TV him by himself, because apparently he could just do that, being a Silverfang. But
Silverfangs could do that?
No, they're not supposed to be able to do that, and it's never fucking explained how Pariah can do that. But he just does.
I mean,
and then you don't even get to kill Loden. He escapes through a bookshelf.
Yeah, I feel like this book spends a lot of time jerking off its NPCs.
And then you have this big fight with you finally go to the Phantom after a while, but you don't even get to go in the Phantom. Instead, you're sitting outside the front door holding off Black Spiral Dancers while a bunch of Lieutenant Elders do the rite of binding and bind Jupiter back in the bowl.
Can I join them because I'm also playing an Ectena?
Do you have a permanent? No, it's a score of 8.
By the end of the game, who knows?
Then no, unless you have that score, you do not get to participate in the rite.
All right, cool. Make sure I fucking do that shit.
Okay, so module over. Does anyone believe that was a massive waste of time?
That was indeed a massive waste of time. That could have gone so much better if I'd have written it.
Now, if you thought that was really lame, we now have the camera roll version of the events, where through the module doesn't even explain the reason why you do this. You just go after Capone for whatever reason. You get the exact same conversation you had with the Geru. You go through the same dungeon into Loden's mansion that you did with the Geru, but you have no context as to who the kinfolk are, so who gives a shit. But while you're doing this, a Nexus crawler attacks you and puts you in an unwinnable fight that Pariah saves you from. And then the game just says, oh, by the way, Pariah's now in your party, and then you attack Loden, and it does the whole TV sideways stepping again, and then you fight Loden, and Loden also escapes again, and then who gives a fuck?
Loden would get rid of that TV by now.
That's the same fucking ending as the Garrow ending. That doesn't make any sense.
And then you meet with a guy called Khalid, where you guys remember Khalid, don't you?
I don't.
Nosferatu guy who's in Chicago.
Oh yeah, he was actually cool.
Yeah, Khalid al-Rashid.
Yes.
You know, the self-loathing Nosferatu.
Yeah, I remember he was actually really good.
He comes in and says, "Hey, I'm the prince now."
You know what? I'm okay with this.
Yeah, and boom, there's your ending.
I'm fully 100% on board with Khalid for Prince of Chicago.
And then you have the Sabbat version where you go in, you murder Hobo Al Capone, you murder Hobo Loden, and this time you actually
And you cut out. What's up?
you don't get an ending. He just Loden dies.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I diabolize them both?
Pariah for
If
Prince.
you can pass that that Dabber roll, sure.
What is that?
Yes.
Was that Dex and Primal Urge?
The rule is who gives a shit because the game is over. That's the whole module for you, and then the whole back of this is just NPCs that are not written in an interesting way. And this is where we'll go over the NPCs. But Harold was the only guy that was worth giving a fuck about. And his picture, you can put his stats up on screen if you want.
There's generic NPCs with stat blocks that you can use as a storyteller.
And they're called the Witch Hunters. And apparently there was like a mummy in this whole thing too.
There
Like, a guy
was,
called
and he was
Peabody.
kind of interesting, but he only appeared for like one part in the story.
And he never comes up in the entire adventure.
He does not. No.
You probably forgot that he was in here while I was talking about this.
I kind of did, which is sad because he was a little interesting.
And then the big question: where the fuck was Menelaus in all of this?
He was in Torpor, from what I understood.
He was either in Torpor or he was up where. Dog, wouldn't it have been cooler if instead of Pariah, you had Menelaus with you as your teammate?
Yes, that would have been so fucking cool. He would have been like, I may die. Helena will definitely try to kill me now that she knows that I'm up and walking about. But I understand the danger that the Sabbat and the Black Spirals have posed. If we do not get the Phantom under control and reclaim and get the Octana to rebind Jupiter, this entire city will be destroyed.
And what could have been really cool with Menelaus too is like the stories and conversations you could have with this guy. And that would be like symbolic of him like re-establishing that olive branch relationship that he had with the Octana.
Yep. That and maybe like a vampire actually doing something noble. Like seriously, vampires are not known for the selflessness, but we've said in the past that Elenis has a humanity of 10, if I recall, right?
Let's see. Helena. Oh,
Not Helena.
Menelaus.
Menelaus.
Yes.
So Menelaus would have the willpower and the courage to do something noble, like helping the Octana reclaim the Phantom and help seal Jupiter, because he knows what it's capable of.
Yes.
And he would do that despite the looming threat of Helena trying to kill him, because he knows that, Helena is just paranoid of him, destroying her. But he understands that there is so much more at stake. That would have been such a great climax to the campaign. We get to pal around with this vampire that's been around for over 24,000 years. Yes.
And if you want to like twist the knife on your players too, what if you, the players, were the guys that killed Prius in this game?
Damn.
Where you do that. That infuriates Helena because you killed her soulmate, and then in retaliation, she seals the deal with Menelaus and kills him.
Exactly. I said 24,000, I meant 2,400. Yeah.
Where that, just how much better, like, the ideas we could have about how to make this game not fucking suck, because, Con Ryan, I heard the excitement in your voice, the energy in your voice. You were so excited for this, and then I told you what the fuck was in this.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this setting seems really cool. Wow, they wrote it like shit.
And then, do you want to know?
There's a bunch of environmental storytelling we didn't go over.
Where it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't. That's what makes me sad.
The apocalyptic scenery is actually pretty cool. Towards the later end when Jupiter's on the cusp.
Because the Umbra looks like fucking creepy. Like the sky is red, it's raining fire. The pattern spiders have skull faces.
Literally every single spirit that's about is either a Bane or a Wyrm corrupted by that point. Like, literally, you can look at a spirit of the Weaver or the Wild. There's going to be like a 99.9% chance it's been Wyrm corrupted.
Probably.
That's it. And then you want to know who lives or who dies? Well, you don't get to know that until we get to pull out. We might do an episode on it. I'm not really in a rush to do it. Chicago by Night 2nd edition. which is a sequel to the first book that we talked about, that we did the episode on. And then this book is sadly canon. After a whole bunch of shit happens, and Prius is dead, and Lodin is dead, and Menelaus is still in Torpor, and that's it, really.
It's just tragic.
Yeah, so, I notice this is a thing that happens a lot, too, with the modules that White Wolf wrote, because these guys were really good at writing source books, but terrible at writing adventures. Just terrible at it.
Yes.
Rite of Passage was good, where if Ryan wanted to get into running World Darkness, I would honestly say, Ryan, if you can't think of a setting, just run Rite of Passage the way it's written. And it'll be good.
Yeah.
And I know Ryan would do a great job because Ryan's the big mechanics guy. That's not me putting him on the spot. It's like me being honest with it. I know you could do it.
He is very good at that, I will say.
I would never hand you Chicago by Night. I would never do that. I would not hand you Under Blood Red Moon.
I'm the type of person who would run it for fun.
And we probably would be more fun than how the book was written.
Yeah, it's where I'm sure
follow it to the book, and everyone would be like, "Ryan, what the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not
we're trying to figure out: is it you who's fucking up, or is it the book?"
It turns out it's the book.
At the end of the day, I'll give you guys little surveys, and it would be like, "Hey, do you think it was me, or do you think it was the book?
Do you think I'm an idiot? Yes or no?"
And I'll find ways to fuck up the. Some days I'll fuck it up on purpose. Some days it'll be the book.
And the days that you do fuck it up, it'll actually be good.
Yes. Because whatever you do will be better than what's in here. It's another book that this reminds me of. Like, it starts off so good and so bad. Is the Transylvania Chronicles?
I don't remember this.
It's absolutely familiar to get thrown into a story that was built up to have Tremere and Salat be the villain.
Why is Salat the villain?
Like Salat, it's one of those books that interprets Salat was lying to everyone the entire time.
I still don't believe that story.
And I don't believe it either. But
Salat is one of the few actually decent people in the World of Darkness.
And whoever gets the rest of this first, as that's a book that started off really strong, and like the highlight of that book was like Cathedral of Flesh and encountering the Cathedral of Flesh and talking to Yorak. And the highlight of this book was the whole like Sergeant Kilborn scene, like the whole mood at the beginning of the book, where they start off so strong, but it feels like everybody who worked for White Wolf either ran out of time and just phoned in the ending, or just got sick to death of their own story and just threw something together just so they could stop writing it and get their paycheck. I don't know which of the two is the case.
Either way, it was a disappointing result.
Yeah. And of course, it wouldn't be any more disappointing than with Cardinal Houses of Europe, the Shoah, with a fucking Wraith book about the fucking Holocaust.
Well, that's just sad.
Where, like, who the fuck is going to want to run that? Exactly.
Nobody.
So it's ironic too, because with D&D, what is D&D known for? Really good modules, really poor source books.
Yes.
The irony behind it all. Where, unfortunately, now it's known for both terrible modules and terrible source books, because I don't know, Wizard of the Coast doesn't want to make good content anymore.
No. I will say, however, is that after Storm King's Thunder gets finished, my IRL game, we're planning on playing Under a Crooked Moon, and I am actually very excited for that module.
So, Under a Crooked Moon?
Yes.
Sounds like werewolves.
I don't remember who made it. It was another like D&D podcast. They recently did like a modified 5e based off of what was that board game we played in Boston? Where it's
Root.
like Root, yeah. It was like 5e taking
Root.
place in the world of Root. They did like what's it?
I watched a video called Uprooted, and it's pretty much the same thing.
I think that's what it was, and
Yeah.
I don't know what group. They are the ones who are writing Under a Crooked Moon, and it's like a, it's got a lot of like folklore horror in it, and I'm really excited to play it because I'm playing as Kip in that one.
And And take a look at where. Yeah, take a look at this. It's very hammer horror. Take a look at this.
Yep.
Ah. It's got a fucking goofy werewolf in it.
Oh, does it? Hang on, let's see it.
It's small. It's small resolution, but yeah, we'll end this episode with a smile. Take a look at this werewolf in the top left
Wait.
corner.
I kind of want to see it. Did you post it in the chat? Hold up.
Yeah, there it is.
Let me see. Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about more.
He's got a funny face.
I want to talk more about the abominations.
It's really funny.
Okay, we now have our final portion of the show. Edin's special interest. Okay, tell us about this.
Well, you know how abominations are really hard to make? Well, the reason that is because other vampires aren't good enough to have an abomination. They aren't good like us Ventrue. We Ventrue clearly are the superior among all vampires at leading other vampires. Therefore, we're the only ones that can handle an abomination.
Last time you said this, it was the Gangrel.
But you said the Gangrel can't use animalism on Garu, so
I still think that's
now.
bullshit.
Same.
You can use it to call the beast, but you can't use it to control them.
I think it should be light, but I think the Garo should have an advantage on the willpower roll.
It influences your thoughts, but doesn't mind control you.
I think should be
I'm good with
you should
that.
be able to combination discipline it with dominate against Garu.
That would take probably twice the blood points to do. I think it's feasible, but you would need
Dominate.
more blood points.
Dominant already works on werewolves.
That's true.
Right. Anyways,
'Cause they're mortals.
so the reason the Ventrue are so good at having abominations is they have fortitude and dominate as in-clan disciplines. And if you manage to get rank 6 in dominate, you can basically reprogram an abomination's mind to no longer care about being separated from Gaia or being alone from a pack. Now, if you don't have rank 6, you can probably get rank 4 or 5 and dominate a couple other Garu to keep that abomination company so it doesn't kill itself or go crazy.
Now, keep in mind, this is
I'm
better
not
for
saying it's good. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying Ventrue are the ones that are going to be able to pull it off.
If you do that, have that character be an NPC and not a player character, because it's going to lead to a lot of party friction if he's a player character. Look at this. So werewolves can't shut this down with willpower, but frenzy makes them immune to this. So, fingers crossed you're not fighting a battle raging berserker or get Fenris trying to pull that shit.
Yeah, but here's the
They're almost
drawback.
certainly gonna get a silver fang as a Ventrue because as a Ventrue, you obviously deserve the best of the Garu, which happens to be your leadership class.
Good
Which
shot of
all
Gaia.
Ventrue are leaders, and we all know the more pure breed on that silver fang, the better, and the more a Ventrue's going to go after it.
I mean,
Just like Pariah with that rank 5 pure breed.
in fairness, Rapred's Zamichi ghouled a Silver Fang in Rage Across Russia.
Where it was not just dominate too, but vicissitude altering the brain chemistry and structure.
Yes.
Yep. So that's how you do it. Along with having a little leash that connected the brain stem to his body.
Also, why did you name him after the song from Dirty Dancing?
That was Rapred.
Was it actually?
He insisted on that being the name.
Does he actually just really like that movie?
Yes.
I can't blame him. It's a good movie, but I just think it's really, really funny.
So now that you're Ventrue, if you have an abomination, you're almost certainly going to be the prince, because let's face it, you probably piss the prince off just by doing that. So now you have an abomination. What do you do with it? Well, it's pretty good at investigating people if you can peek through the Umbra as the sheriff. Or you could have it be the Scourge and send it after people that need to die. Even better, you can have it do both. And whenever a kindred or Canite needs to be dragged in front of the Elysium and made an example of, instead of simply beheading them, you can have them be torn limb from limb by the Abomination or crushed by a Krynos paw.
I don't know. I think that's a pretty good gladiator spectacle for an Elysium.
I'm typing this in right now. Yes, they can still step sideways. But a spirit will either actively shun it or will attack it upon it being in the Umbra.
Nice.
Well, that's why you have to peek.
And that's why you also have to hopefully get another Garu, Bloodbound or Dominated to help teach it gifts.
Let's see, this is...
I bet some storyteller only ideas that would be spoiled if regular people hear them. 8:51 at the time of recording in the studio notes if you guys want to take a peek.
with those massive ass list of ideas.
Yep.
851 studio notes. Hang on.
You want to flip through that, Kyle?
Yeah, this is like the spoiler portion of the podcast.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, you did write that down.
Yep.
So there's that, and then yeah. So those are all in review here at the studio notes. Then
I feel like I'm missing something.
Just scroll up. I'm
yeah,
just gonna briefly
Ryan
touch
and
on them.
studio.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
The Abomination Prince Sheriff, let's see, Prince's staff symbol,
So you can just go quickly over them.
and trying
But
to get
something like the Abomination infiltrating a pack, and slowly working its vampire discipline to make itself the pack alpha over time.
Well, I think it'll be
Cleric
pretty
characters
obvious
being the
to.
pack.
I think it'll be obvious to reveal it because a werewolf can move out in the sun and an abomination can't.
That's true. It
Right,
is
but if it's
fully
messing
embraced.
with your memories with Dominate, you kind of can't tell or even remember that that's happening.
But they, between scenes, which is around about, say, like anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, can re-roll the willpower check on Dominate, can't they?
And then,
Well, if
yes,
you're actively deleting the memory, that memory's gone.
Yeah, but they can't do that during the day because they're an abomination. They're not going to be there.
you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and you're going to be free of this mind control.
Exactly.
So, because with this, you have command. I have enemy NPCs in my disco game. I can do this. Command and mesmerize. I know what those two do already. The forgetful mind. Reading this mechanically. That is a wit subterfuge roll, difficulty equal to the target's current willpower. Heaven be damned if you use this on a werewolf that's got some decent experience points. Any success pacifies the victim for the amount of time it takes for a werewolf. Okay. Okay, so going into this.
Rank 6 Dominate is where Dominate gets really scary.
No, we're not talking about that because that's fucking elders and that's Methuselah and ranks generations 4 and 5 get that.
Oh, I thought it was like rank 7 or lower.
So going into this, with that memory manipulation power, you need to roll a number of successes, and the successes will determine what it is, and the difficulty is the target's willpower. 1 success may remove a single memory, but last 1 day. 2 successes may remove but not alter a memory permanently. 3 successes may slightly change a memory. 4 successes may alter or remove entire scenes from the subject's memories. 5 successes may reconstruct entire periods of a subject's life, but not everything. You're going to have to use this multiple times in order to do so.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, and looking at this. Score for the mind. And that's not including if you botch that roll where, yes, the target is going to know that you tried to do something.
Yep. Just multiple people in the Discord thought it was an interesting idea with an abomination working its way into a pack. Because abominations suffer from chronic loneliness as well as from being alienated from Gaia.
Which is
so
true.
They often try to fill that gap with whatever means they can, or they just end up going crazy or dying. So in Pariah's stat block or story block, it says he's not in his stat block, in one of the explanations for the endings at the end of the storybook. It says if Pariah doesn't get accepted by the Garu, he'll eventually be desperate enough to actually start a company, Black Spiral Dancers, because he's that desperate for company. So this entire idea is that either an abomination's trying to subvert a pack for nefarious reasons, like on behalf of a Methuselah prince, or they're that desperate for companionship that they're willing to literally take over a pack for it.
Going into this, see what the fucking shit involving Pariah. All right, Kyle, you got ideas while I'm looking at this?
Since it's at the end of the story, section. It says, what if X or Y happens?
Oh, that fucking that garbled fucking war text at the end of this book.
You can hear the disdain in the microphone.
Pariah's fate.
This thing sucks.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Pariah as a character myself.
Because there's only one real story you can tell with the Abominations, though, and this is why I'm not in a rush to do this, because it's always going to be like this self-loathing loner kind of guy that can't fit in either world. Where it's that Pinocchio story that we mentioned before, but Pinocchio's never going to become a real boy.
No.
So there's only two ways that story's going to end. He becomes evil or he walks into the sun.
Well, this one it says he's often the target of other Garu, even if he's accepted. Like, they'll do everything in their power to mess him up, challenge him, whatnot.
It's like all for nothing, ultimately. Where
Well, at
It's a
least
very
he
nihilist
actually has
story, I will
companionship
say.
to stop him from spiraling down.
right, yeah, I'm not on board with the idea either, Kyle. Just
I don't know.
we're just Phantom is. The whole thing with Pariah is it's only ever going to end one way, and when I can tell where a story is going, I lose interest in it.
I suppose that's fair.
So
See, like here, the thing is that like even if a story is spoiled for me, I'm still willing to see how it plays out. But like, it's why I don't get bothered by spoilers, is because like I still want to know how we got there. You know, it's getting there that's half the fun. But when like it's kind of laid bare and you already know like how it gets there, then what the hell's the point? Like, yeah, he was turned. He hates himself. He wants to do something right. And so he does something right. And then whatever. Sure.
an unlistable song is a song that constantly changes back and forth between notes and you can't follow where it's going.
Yes.
A boring song is a song where you know exactly where it's going to go. You find a happy medium between the two. And I don't see how we're going to get that with an Abomination. And I feel like this is the reason why this idea was never really expanded upon outside this book, because it's only ever going to go in one direction.
Well, I think it's kind of a really poor concept for a werewolf chronicle. I think it works a lot better in a vampire one. Like, say, there's a hidden abomination that's making the play to become prince that no one knows it is abomination, or maybe one or two people know that are in on the plot. And basically, your PCs might be either unwittingly helping the abomination or aiding the prince in like dealing with some local werewolf attacks. What you don't know is that abomination was made by Methuselah and probably has enlisted the help of other werewolves, either as thralls or on the promise that whatever assets the prince currently has, while they're under the control of the prince, are actively threatening the Karen. And if the abomination gets help becoming the prince, will actively steer those assets towards protecting the Karen. So if you know about eminent domain, how local governments can just seize your land, claim
Yes.
for the public interest, and then give it to a developer to develop, and that counts as under the public interest, well, just have that happen, and the fate of that Karen is with that development. So basically, that abomination has to take over that Karen take over the princedom to save that Karen, and that's how he gets the help of the Garu, either through manipulation or outright convincing, or even some mind control. Now, your characters might stumble in on this conspiracy, and maybe they don't. Maybe they're helping the abomination, and then all hell breaks loose when the abomination just basically takes the prince's place, just goes full Krynos and say, whoever wants to challenge me now, otherwise die. If you dare raise your hand against me at a later date.
I'm glad that you're seeing something in this.
Yeah, it's a granted vampire plans are supposed to be a little far fetched. So I suppose that works. I don't know. It's tight, but it could work.
To me, it's giving me the same like Stu on the idea. It's the same as having it's like having a Bali in your court, where once you know what that is, there's never going to be able to work with it. But Ryan, you got any ideas? He's out.
I'm
He is.
my brain.
Yeah,
He is
it's
out.
I think we said Pretty much all we
It-
need to say
We're
about
out of
Chicago.
gas. We're out of gas.
I would say
The
so.
last one I was thinking up is the Prince's status symbol abomination, and this would be more of
well, that's more likely. Yes.
this would be more one of those elders last Methuselah PC player characters, I mean.
Yes.
You know where the entire party's at and they're tasked with running the court.
With what Set did to Sobek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that-
this would just be like maybe a character flaw for the prince to have if he wants to go that way. Because now you have to deal with the Garu, you have to deal with keeping your abomination from killing itself that you really like. So you end up causing a whole bunch of trouble for the court just by having it and trying to like get a companionship with like a Garu that you blood bond or something.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's something the storyteller could actually play with, because suddenly now you bring in werewolves into the court politics. And you're the prince. You really do not want to lose your status symbol. Maybe you've grown attached to it like a favorite pet. And that is one hell of a character flaw for a prince to have.
Just this vanity project is going to get them killed.
That
Yeah,
does
or
seem
cause a whole
that
bunch of
makes
trouble.
sense for Ventrue, yeah.
There are. See, Kyle's out of gas. Ryan's out of gas. And I'm out of gas.
Yep.
Same here. That concludes the spoiler section.
It was so
Yes.
close, Chicago. You could have had something and you dicked it up.
Well, maybe the second edition book is better, but we're not getting to that anytime soon.
Some of the
No.
descriptions were pretty cool, like saying the Jupiter Celestine can be seen in the Umbra covered in banes, like in person that's being devoured by ants in that Indiana Jones movie,
Oh, yeah.
the one with the crystal skull and aliens. That
Yes.
kind of scenery.
I actually really
That was
like
kind
that
of
movie.
cool.
It is. It is. You need one of these, Kyle.
What do I
You
need?
one of these. You need one of these.
Hold up.
Yep. You watched every episode of Bravest Warriors. You know what this is.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, the gas part stick and never went out of gas.
Oh.
Uh,
Cat bug?
The joke is that it's fucking stupid.
That's a lot of humor back in the day.
Yeah.
You're working.
Yes.
Come to butthead.
All right. All right, that's it. No more episode. We're done. We're done.
All right. Good night, everybody.
everyone.
Good night.
Good
GM.
night, guys.
Yes.